What is up, everybody? I hope you enjoyed that intro if you got to check it out. If not, you'll get to see it in the replay. But what's happening is Dorian D. Booma, the digital samurai for truth. And once again, Painfully Beautiful Productions is going to be teaming up with Total Disclosure and Alessandro, who should be joining us shortly. But I just wanted to say hi to everybody. You guys are rocking it, especially in the Rumble live chat. This is awesome. And let me know if my sound's good. I think everything's set up well. And what's up, Colin? What's up, Shannon? What's up, T. Harmon over on the YouTube? And we got David rolling in. We got some people rolling in on the Substack. And then we got D. Menace, Linda Grad, Carl and Hanny. Hey, you girl. We got a bunch of you. Coley, Valerie. All you guys are here. And Margie. And what else we got? It's good to see you all here. It is, and Jody, yes. Oh, there it is. I was looking for this. Jody was here, has been here for a long time. She said that she always knew that I was gonna take this to another level, I guess. And here we are. It's fun to see the chat so lively, and now we're doing lives, and we weren't doing that in the beginning. I wasn't showing myself, and I wasn't showing my name, and I was doing videos and then just putting them out. And now we're doing. And then hey, Misco, and now we're and Ghost. What's up, Ghost? And all you guys. But now we're doing the lives, and we're gonna rock and roll with. Soon as I don't know exactly what Alessandro's gonna want to be showing, but man, his latest Louder Than Love episode on the Chris Cornell and Chester Bennington murders was dropped, and it was an awesome one. What is up? And Jonah. What do we got here? I've got a bone to pick with you, Booma. You should have delayed your stream tonight by an hour to take into account British summertime ending last night. I was expecting a midnight start. Maybe that's what's going on with Alessandro. I know he sees the link I sent to him in Telegram, but maybe everybody's all messed up. We're live, bro. Let's go. So we'll get Alessandro in here and then see where he wants to take this. I think he wants to show a little bit of this episode. So as it says in the title, the smoking gun is coming. Like he has like information he shared on our last episode. And if you didn't see that, it was a friend that he knew in the music industry, and I'll let him tell more of this story. But he knows some stuff that he hasn't been able to share until that person passed away. And that person passed away. And this is going to kind of come full circle on his last episode, the smoking gun and everything that kind of he found in his investigation. And I didn't realize that Alessandro had because of all of this investigative stuff that he was doing, and at the time there wasn't a whole lot of people, podcasting has really exploded, especially with Rumble coming into play and the idea of Trump coming to the presidency. It's really changed, and even he was talking about that back when he was doing this earlier on. He used to talk to guys like Isaac Cappy and those kinds of people. And there wasn't a whole lot of people doing this, and they really put their necks out on the line. And he has suffered greatly. He had a huge platform, and they took it from him, and he's never been able to fully recover. And he's like a true warrior in this, so I want to honor that. But the man himself is here. Get him up here on the stage. And what is happening, brother?
What's up, man? How you doing?
Good, man. I was just talking about Louder Than Love in the latest episode and how you're going into the last one. The smoking gun will be there. But welcome, man. Welcome.
Thank you. It's been a while, man. I'm sorry for the delay. I know we were supposed to do this 300 years ago.
I know, man. You got a lot on your plate. It's kind of crazy, the stuff that you churn out. And I think you're doing a 30% off membership right now.
Yes, I'm doing 30% off with the code Soundgarden.
Very fitting. And that is pinned. The top comment is pinned underneath at least the Rumble for now, and I'll get it over onto all of them. But yes, people are stoked, Alessandro. But I'm glad you were able to make it, because man, you're covering current news. You're covering like you were covering the Charlie Kirk thing to a little bit, but you're covering stuff going on where we're over closer where you're at. You're covering stuff like nonstop, and then I'm just like I just stay focused in my little area, man. Like I don't even pay attention hardly to a lot of the politics that are going on in the world anymore because I did it for like years straight. But the way that you operate, total disclosure, that's why you're doing it, and so I respect you, and so it wasn't surprising to me that it took you a little while to get to this episode, but this episode was fire, bro. And so I
Thank
don't
you.
know what all you wanted to do. If you wanted to show a little bit of it, show some clips and talk about it. However you want to do this, brother. Welcome to Painfully Beautiful Productions for the second time, and the
Thanks.
audience is stoked to have you here. And I'm ready to do whatever you have planned, my friend.
I'm stoked to be here, man. Thank you. Well, I just wanted to let you know because I'm a bit undecided, but I actually have a surprise for everyone today. I
Awesome.
made a trailer today. I finished the trailer for the next film I'm gonna put out after I finish this series, and it's gonna be premiere here at the Booma podcast.
Oh,
So
sweet.
yes, this film is not gonna be a series. It's gonna be a 3 hour film, not as long as Europa: The Last Battle, and not as focused as with the past. I'm gonna dissect some things about the Calgary Plan and the books that this guy wrote 50, 100 years ago, and how all these migration issues started with basically the United Nations and what happened with 9/11, obviously to destroy these countries and create this chaos that ended up because in some way you cannot blame people to want to leave these places, but
Right.
uh, it's not our making. I mean, whatever our so-called leaders do because they're blackmailed by the Jews or however you want to call them, the synagogue of Satan,
Right.
uh, has nothing to do with us. So I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna show it. When I don't know if you want to see that first because I was thinking of doing two parts with the louder than love clips, one 10-minute clip and then like a 15-minute clip or 10-minute clip, and leave it as a cliffhanger a bit for your audience. But of course, needless to say, if you're not able to afford the membership, you're retired, you're disabled, whatever it may be, hit me up. I'll give you a free membership.
Yeah, man. You're the man, Alessandro. And we talked the other day. Can't remember now if it was yesterday. I think it was the day before yesterday, and we were talking about stuff. And he's hooked some people up with some free memberships if you really can't afford it. He wants this information out there. The kind of like I don't consider myself an investigative journalist. Alessandro here, he's an investigative journalist. Like
No, but you
I
have
don't.
done some real nice pieces too, brother.
I put I put some.
I appreciate you and the candor, but you are also very good at what you do.
Right, and it's changed a little bit what I was doing. I was doing a little bit more research and putting pieces together. Not quite documentary style, not quite to the level and professionalism like what you do, but kind of like doing my own little thing, like learning it as I go with my audience. And Jody, that's been here for a while, was just saying, she always knew it would get to this point. Now it's kind of fun bringing on different people and getting their perspectives. We were talking about Dean of Sound for Sound. We think that
Yes.
kid has a gift, and I'm hoping, I would like to, Dean, if you see this, or I'll hopefully be talking to Dean soon. We'd like to collab on a little something too, but what I've seen with you and when I've watched this, and I haven't been able to get into a whole lot of your other material yet, just to be honest. But what you've done in this
My-
Louder Than Love series, man, I didn't realize how many attacks you've received. And this is just one aspect of what you've investigated and gotten into. But like
yeah.
we were talking, and I was telling everybody before you popped on, when you were doing this and you were like communicating with guys like Isaac Happy, and you were getting in these forums and discussing these things with people and investigating things more during the current time that things were happening, there weren't a lot of people doing it.
No, 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 no. This was just before the boom, because 2018, the number of truthers putting videos out there, it wasn't that little, but it wasn't as commercial as it is now. And obviously, you see that a lot of the people that are basically fronting the market are agents and people that basically do AI videos and don't do much research and focus on really, really, really effective marketing tactics to put their stuff out there. Some of the stuff is really great, but I prefer the old classics, like the people that were back then, and it was pretty much similar to your style. Like this investigative journalist just dissecting things in real time and discussing it with their audience. That kind of style really, I think it really does well for people because you also teach them how to do the research themselves, uh,
Right.
which, which is very important. What you were doing with Dean, for example, I was watching the thing and I said, man, this is 4 hours long, but I think I'm going to watch it all. And I watched it all, and I even rewatched the second part the second time because it was so interesting. And
Right.
imagine if people would spend their time decoding these kind of things instead of decoding the Q drops that are obviously a psychological operation.
Right.
We would have this thing figured out by now. But I left him a nice comment in the video. I need to go and comment in your video as well. But amazing work, man. You have some amazing guests.
Yeah, and it sounds like, and I wasn't sure if it had happened just yet. I did give Dean my phone number so he can contact me, and I'll be in contact with him. But he had the Secret Service had wanted to communicate with him, and they got I mean, Carl
I
said
saw.
it in this right here. He's out. It looks like his dad has kind of freaked out a little bit, and I guess
Yeah,
rightfully so if you're getting calls from the Secret Service. But I think that was the Secret Service's plan. Because if you really want to take somebody out, you're going to kick in the door and you're going to go and arrest him. They don't got nothing on
exactly.
him. They're just trying to freak him out. So I guess it worked on the dad, who unfortunately that was a situation that Dean was in. So he apparently doesn't have internet right now. I'll work with him and see if we can figure some things out. He can still record some videos on his laptop, maybe go somewhere where he can get public Wi-Fi, or just call me on the phone. We can get something worked out because that kid's talented and his work needs to be out there. But we'll see what transpires from the Secret Service meeting or if it's already happened. Either way, I really appreciate the comments, man, and
Me too.
the
Thank you.
the yes, some of the work that I am doing with guys like Biscuits and having Sabrina Wallace on, Mike Gill. I really like the crew that I'm working with, and then having you come back in. I wanted you on sooner, but I'll take you when I can get you, brother, because I really love your work. And like I said, man, I want to get into other things too. So I'm excited to see what this trailer is that you have. If that's
Um,
what you want to show first, we can do that and then discuss. We can chat a little bit more, and then we can get into this louder than love because you're setting up to finish this series, and it's been how long you been working on this thing, man?
Man, it's been 7 years,
Oh my gosh!
this was the project of my lifetime because it was very personal for me, and it was what made me start doing this. So obviously, I wanted it to be perfect. I didn't want to miss anything. Obviously, there are things that are not there are some minor things that are not gonna be there because it's just I'm not gonna make 30 episodes. It's just things have to have a limit. But I always wanted to give time to some of the witnesses, especially to come forward or some of them to allow me to publish the messages and their names because I have three main witnesses that don't want to be named. So
Right,
the story is already very obvious and effectively in the sense that I believe it's very convincing that something else happened there. But obviously, with these three witnesses, considering who they are, this would basically blow the gasket on the case. I spoke with you in private about a couple of things, and without naming names, obviously, so you not to also put you in the spot and endanger you or something weird. Um, but as you can see, the attacks came from everywhere because it was people that were also working on something similar that were angry at me because I was doing it better. There was some guy threatening to kill me because he said that I stole his first articles and stuff like that. Then I had Gabe Hoffman because the whole Silent Children thing and Isaac Cappy and all that also after me.
right. And
Um,
if anybody doesn't know the Gabe Hoffman thing, Gabe, I don't know how he connects into Schoenberger, but that was stuff that was discussed when I had like DeFango on. People think whatever they want on DeFango, but that involves the Q stuff. But Gabe Hoffman more recently was one of the asshats that was handed one of the Epstein binders, and they were parading them around like we have the files and stuff. And then how's that gone? Anyways, fuck Gabe Hoffman. And I don't know, and you can bring whatever heat you want to me, bro. Like I was talking to you, and I was like, the crazy thing that they have now, and why it's in some ways it's sad, but in some ways it's probably what was meant to be. It's been so many years since these tragedies happened that now they have so much noise on the internet. You got so many different platforms, so many different content creators, and so many fucking talking heads that are complete CIA handled or operatives themselves. And so they can make a lot of noise even if you drop bombshells, which we're going to do whatever we can to drop these bombshells that you have in this. Because, I mean, like, the people that you were attacked by, like, if people don't know who Gabe Hoffman is, you can learn real quickly from Alessandro that he's pretty well connected and can cause a lot of issues. And then you got attacked by Vicky, who is the ex-wife, I guess we would say, of Chris Cornell. Her mom and her.
Her mom. I was anonymous. I was like you, anonymous, when I was doing this. When I started doing this, and it was the mother-in-law of Chris Cornell who doxed me. And after that, I said, "Fuck it, I'm just gonna go public with my name." Who cares anymore?
Exactly. That's. I mean, once I got doxxed, I was just going to turn it into something good and then tell them to go fuck themselves because they were kind of taunting me with it. You know the guys. Because in the first episode that I did was Alessandro, we exposed the shit out of Nick Alvear, and he's pretty close to connected to Scriptkeeper, who is the asshole Joshua Young, who doxed me, and he got doxed by Phil Godleski, and he calls him Phildo, and he said at the time that doxing is a deep state operation or a deep state tactic, and then he's the one that freaking doxes me. These guys don't stand by, they don't have any standards. This is what I love about you, Alessandro, because we've had some discussions, and from what I can see, you're a man of integrity. You actually stand by your word, and you have... It's like as much as like I don't know if I'd say is it the mafia or whatever. You see some of these movies and whatnot. There's depictions and whatnot, but even some of them had integrity with like no women and children, or they had certain things that they would not do. Well, now the kind of people. Most of the time I see it on the left where they don't have any belief in God, therefore they don't have any, worry of guilt and sin and shame, and they'll do whatever it takes. That's how all these people operate. The kind of people that might even pretend to be Christian, like Scriptkeeper, Nick Alvear supposedly gets baptized and he's now a born-again Christian, even though he lies nonstop. Anyways, we went over a lot of that. And so you're dealing with a lot of these operatives, though. Gabe Hoffman, these kinds of people that were involved in the Isaac Cappy situation, the murder of Isaac Cappy.
All of them.
So now when it comes into these things, it's the same kind of players, the same kind of tactics. And now while the internet allows us to communicate and drop bombshell stories, if you don't have the network pushing you up, if you don't have the algorithms and the people that control the platforms in your favor, they censor the shit out of you. You had was it a Facebook or another platform where you had hundreds of thousands or 60,000 or something like that followers?
It was Facebook, but the thing is that they went from 0 to 25,000 in like a month. So this was when I was doing the Louder Than Love work, exposing Sasha Stone and working on the Isaac Cappy case, the three things at the same time. So I did like 2 posts for each one of those things that really went viral, like 40,000 shares and 50,000 likes. And that's when Gabe had me banned from everywhere: Facebook, Patreon, Twitter, Trello, Slack, you name it. I got removed from everywhere, brother. PayPal, Wise. So after that, obviously, I started working with Nick out of necessity because I didn't have any platform. I had lost everything. And basically what happened is that people assumed that, I don't know, that I was dead or something, because only the people that subscribed to Good Lions seemed to keep up with what I was doing. And because I was a bit stupid in just promoting the Good Lions stuff instead of doing the thing as more of a partnership. That was kind of my mistake there, because I thought that, I mean, I knew the guy was fucked up in the head, but I didn't know. To be honest, I was in a bit of a denial to accept to what degree, because when these people are your friends, you try to see them like, this flawed human, and like you try to make excuses
Right.
for them, and they make excuses for themselves, all right. But you also, I don't like judging people, and I don't like doing to others what I don't like people doing to me. So. Uh, Judging is one of those things. I don't like being judged unfairly, and so basically, you just need to get some jabs from these people before you react and get snap out of it. But just like it happened to you with Gene, man, because it was a couple years, 3 years, uh, almost in a spell. Because this is
Yes.
an example of toxic relationships, and at the very least, we learned a lot from it.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a spell with Gene. I was just like, he's an older guy. Maybe he's lost in the marbles a little bit. But who cares? We're all a little crazy. I mean, who wouldn't be when you start learning about all the stuff that he claimed that at the time I was into all the stuff. Whether it was, I'm not even saying I know what's true or what or not, but deep into alien stuff, deep underground military bases, chimeras, hybridizations of animals and humans combined, the kinds of things that the military was doing, the contracts with the Greys, reptilians. We got into all of that, and it's like portals, time. Being able to freaking jump timelines was a crazy thing to think about. Portals, being able to like, what is he always? He talks about John Titter, which is like connected to Trump in their being able to move back and forth in time. Like I don't know, man. It gets freaking crazy. The
Astral
time traveling
travel
stuff.
and Russ Dinstar
Yes.
and all these things. But yeah, I was into those things as well because it's super entertaining when you are first learning
Yeah.
what's up, and some of these things are really well done. But then
Yes.
if you really have your brushes with demonic forces, then it becomes kind of very obvious, very evident that it is not about aliens. It's more about interdimensional demons and entities and all that. Because obviously, I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for Jesus. And I'm a Christian,
Yeah.
pretty much similar like you're a Christian. Like I don't like going around with the Bible and telling people how to be better Christians because that's not what I'm about, and that's not
Yeah.
my role in this world. And I actually don't like when people do that, like a competition. But what we do is we gotta admit something. At the very least, it's entertaining to troll these assholes from time to time.
Yeah, man. And these guys, they hate to be mocked, and they're not real bright. They have a playbook, and
Not
and
at
they're
all.
not creative. That's the thing. Like we are the creators. Now, I think evil uses creators, so people that have gifts that God gave them. I think Satan's able to do a certain amount of miracles, but they're not real miracles. They're like, like the ideas were like, I can't remember the name of the guy, but it was a black gentleman many years ago, and he went to the crossroads and he couldn't really play a lick. And they say this about Bob Dylan too. They say that Bob
Yes.
Dylan wasn't really all that talented.
Yes.
Left, went to the crossroads,
Bob
had a meeting.
Zimmerman is his real name. He's
What's
a
his
Jew.
name?
Bob Zimmerman.
That's his name. Bob Dylan's name is that? I didn't even
Yes.
freaking know that, man.
Yeah.
He even tells it in his interview that he had a meeting with the commander in chief. Anyways, he
Yes.
came back, and then all of a sudden he was just like the thing. He could freaking play the harmonica, he could play a tune or play the piano, whatever it was had to do. But he sang these songs that became hits that still get played now, and he confesses it. Gene used to tell me that I think Bob Dylan did like a 17-second or a minute song at some point when the Q thing was going, and then Gene was like, "Oh, he's good. He's on the good side," and I was like, "No, he isn't, man. Listen to that
It's
freaking interview.
not.
He's a fucking liar." But anyways, these guys get granted certain talents, like they can sing better, they can play better, they can perform. They sign contracts with their souls, and they have a certain amount of time. And so when you learn about some of that stuff, I don't fully know how it works as far as like the spiritual or esoteric part of it, but what you've done and what I think is important about the things that you've uncovered with Chester Bennington and Chris Cornell, I mean, Isaac Cappy in a way, and I look forward to
Yes.
getting into that. These guys operate the same kind of way. Some of them are handled differently. The things that I broke down with Dean, and we discussed this, just to briefly bring this up because I think it's fascinating, is
Mhm.
that Dean wasn't, and he told me, wasn't even a Linkin Park fan, but because in the end, and Shinoda and some of these guys connected into like the Jay-Z world and some of this other stuff that got into hip hop,
Yeah.
he had broken down those lyrics, and it seemed like even from Hybrid Theory, their very first album, it was
Yeah.
almost as if it was always meant that Chester had a limited time. And then now you see them replacing Chester with a woman, which Dean says represents Ishtar, which is the female kind of goddess. It's the same kind of satanic shit that they worship.
Yes.
He
Yes.
didn't even know anything about Lincoln Park. He doesn't know the story of Chester and the murder and stuff like that. He just did the phonetic reversals and heard that and found the story, and then based off of even the music video and the imagery that they use, they tell you the truth in it. And then he says you can reverse it, and you see what the story they're really telling
Yeah.
that the cult sees,
It's
and
so freaky,
it
man.
it lines up a lot with what you've uncovered on this thing. And the question for me is, when it comes to especially Chester and Chris, is whether or not maybe they knew their time was up, because what you find out, and this is what drives me nuts about Trump saying that the Epstein stuff is a Russian hoax now, and the way that they've pivoted away from it, is you find out that their wives, Chester's wife and Vicky, were Epstein girls, correct?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And this is the thing, like it's the modus operandi because they always try to get women close to you as handlers, either women or personal trainers or agents or bodyguards is also a popular one. But with the case of Chris and Chester, it was a woman. In the case of Isaac Cappy, his roommate was a woman, allegedly innocent woman, but later on we find out that she was uh, part of a secret society that does witchcraft and satanic orgies at the Jack Parsons Center in California.
Oh my
Uh,
gosh, and we just broke down a video with Dean about Jack Parsons that was
yes,
done by Sean Lennon. You saw that part too, right?
that guy is obviously Joko Ono is a Japanese witch, is what she is, and
Yep.
she's always been a witch. I don't know if you ever seen the video, the hilarious video of Chuck Berry playing with John Lennon, and they're playing live, and this woman comes and makes a screech and ruins the song. And the face of Chuck Berry, man, when he's playing jamming the guitar and he sees that she does that, you need to see it. I laughed like 50 minutes in a row, man. John Lennon was just thinking, man, as soon as we get home, I'm gonna smack this bitch up, because he was a wife beater. As far as we know, the story of this marriage, that is usually toxic relationships. In the Tolinda Bennington case, the marriage was full of infidelity, mainly from her, but Chester also did his things here and there. With Chris, it was both. It was infidelity and a lot of emotional and even physical violence, because there are testimonies of Vicky throwing things at him in a plane. There's an injury that happened to his hand that allegedly she hit him with the heel, with her shoe in the hand with the heel, and he had an injury in his hand that he couldn't play guitar for like a few months. Um, there's a video that is called Scream, that he portrays himself with a woman that looks just like Vicky, and the whole video is Vicky mistreating him, hitting him, throwing him pillows and shit. So he was committed to the relationship because he didn't want to get divorced again, having been divorced already once and having to part ways with his first daughter. The thing that with Chris is that he absolutely adored these kids, and he was willing to take a lot of bullshit um, for them.
Right.
Obviously, when he realized that they weren't even his kids, I mean, at least I'm sure that he found out about one, because that was apparently that was the reason for the last big argument they had on Mother's Day, which was days before he got murdered. And he had also found out about a siphoned $1 million from the Vicky and Chris Cornell Foundation that Vicky had taken out without telling him. So, you know, big problems in the marriage, violence, infidelity, lies. The woman was part of the secret society already, Epstein girl. Things that you wouldn't believe as a husband, even being married. Imagine being married to a woman for 10 years, 5 or even 5 years, and then you realize that this woman was an escort and a pimp on the side, working with people like Epstein and Heidi Klum and Naomi Campbell and Kim Kardashian and all those people.
Right, and Heidi Klum plays into this story for Chris very, very big here in this episode of what you exposed. Um, Not to, I don't want to give too much away. I don't know what you want to talk about, but you guys are hearing stuff that is like massive in this, and that's what I'm saying. Like it might not cause as much problems for people like us to expose it because it's been so much time. It was like when
Yes.
it was in the heat of things and people were angry. You showed a clip, they silenced a lot more back then. So now that it's time's passed, it's just like the Kurt Cobain one. It's just like some of these things. We don't know. These people all could have been involved in very nefarious stuff. The question for me it gets is whether or not, because it's very weird that Chester and like Chris, for example, came on stage and were singing. I can't remember the name of the song. He's
Hunger
Chris
strike.
hunger strike, and then we're saying, they're farming babies while the slaves are all working. And it seemed like they were getting this message out there. And Avicii plays into this that you talk about in this series. The number of people that were murdered in this investigation that doesn't just include, they're all connected, but doesn't just include Chester and Chris, is the lead singer's, what was the lead singer of the band?
You have the
Female.
Cranberries, Dolores
Cranberries.
O'Riordan. Yeah, that's
Yes.
one. You have Anthony Bourdain dying the same week as Kate Spade and Ines
Kate
Origueta.
Spade, Anthony
Yes.
Bourdain.
And you have the sister of the Queen Maxima of the Netherlands dying on that same week. It was on the 6th of June, it was Ines Origueta. Then on the 8th, Anthony Bourdain. And Kate Spade is on the 5th of June. And we're talking about 2018, actually, because these three people died a year after Chester, almost exactly on the year. And they were dropping like flies. Avicii died a few months later in 2019. Isaac Cappy died in 2019. We have Natasha Haid, that famous model that was friends with Avicii and Ines Origueta as well, found dead of an overdose on 2019 as well. So, it's hard to connect all these different people in the sense of the crime scene and all that. There's no clear connection there. There's some collaborations, there's some testimonies, and there's obviously the timeline, which makes it very suspicious on how things happen. And obviously, we know that the secret societies, the Illuminati, they leave traces, they leave clues. Every time they sacrifice somebody, every time they kill somebody, it's not only for the purpose of punishing this person, it's humiliation and it's a warning to the rest of them. If you go
Yes.
outside of the boundaries, if you talk more than you should, this is what it's going to happen to you. You're going to be this person hanging from a doorknob, from a red string, from a red belt, from a red scarf. Variety is the spice of life, they say, but these people tend to use the same signs when they murder people for the same kind of reason. So that's why
Yes.
I try to focus on all these people. I have documentaries on all these people, separate ones, Avicii as well, and I even believe that the list that I have gathered across the years of people killed because of ritual sacrifice or because they were kind of going off the boundaries, going off the reservation, is about 60 or 70 names, and it's an incomplete list. I'm pretty sure that if I really put more work into it, I could make it 200, probably more. Um,
Right, and we even got into like Brittany Murphy,
yes,
um, and then Amy Winehouse. We don't really know what happened there. Maybe she just didn't. Maybe
Amy
she just
Winehouse
got
was also a sacrifice, but obviously she had very big problems. But her problems were a direct consequence of forming part of the club, which she didn't want to. But sadly, her friends, her boyfriends, Russell Brand. Then there was this guy from the Libertines who was a complete disaster, a junkie. He's a Freemason as well, and a pedophile. And obviously, you have Amy's father, who is a bit suspicious. Her family had a suspicious role in this, as far as I can tell, because I have not done a documentary about it. But yes, all these people, you can see that. For example, when Kurt Cobain died, Kurt
Yes.
Cobain was a guy that many people worship for different reasons. I don't
Right.
worship any human anymore, but the guy was very talented at what he did.
Right.
One thing
And
that
that's
he
how
had,
I feel. That's how I feel about Chris and Chester. I
yeah,
freaking loved Linkin Park. I wasn't awake yet when I woke up. I loved Soundgarden. I loved the work that Chris Cornell was doing. Black Hole Sun, probably a very satanic song, but freaking like stuck in my brain like none other. And I used to just freaking love listening to it. But I try not to idolize them or even think that maybe they were good people. Maybe they just got upset with the cult and they wanted a big F you on the way out. I don't know. I don't know. They did some beautiful things too, and that was a thing. It was a time when, like Anthony Bourdain tweets out that he has the information that could put Hillary Clinton in prison. You have the song where Chester and Chris come out on stage and say they're farming babies while the slaves are all working, trying to tell us. Avicii made a video, a music video that was like one of the most powerful music videos to
yes,
expose the dirtiness of human trafficking, and then the two kids get their revenge in the end. They were putting out there things that challenged, I think, the cult, and they got put away with and became examples. And we're gonna continue to expose it, regardless of what they really were. Did they sell their soul? Somebody put in there. No one really can sell their soul because it's always God's in the end. I hope
yeah,
so. I hope that's the case with some of these guys. I hope that's the case that some of these guys realize the power of Jesus Christ and that they took back Jesus would take back their soul, but they would
exactly. You
find
cannot sell what
repentance.
doesn't belong to you. You cannot sell what
Exactly.
doesn't belong to you. So
If
the thing is that Jesus always forgives. So for me, it's a delicate dilemma with people that hurt children, because for me, most things you can come back from. I was a
right,
juvie criminal myself. I did a bunch of crazy shit. I was sharing with you some things personally that I used to do when I was younger, and not a nice person to introduce your daughters. I assure you that I was a scumbag, but not that level of scumbag. There's levels of
right,
scumbaggery, and
yep.
I was more of a guy that I was in a rock and roll band. So obviously, I was just about not taking anything seriously. It was more along those lines. But I can speak for what I know and for the people that I have met personally. For example, in this episode that we're gonna watch, there's two people that appear that I did meet personally, and that's Chester, who I met in Mexico, and I told you the story about that he was the one that recommended me to be one of the finalists for the Sun Temple Pilots audition after Scott Weiland died in 2016. So obviously we had a friendship, we had a thing that we messaged once every 2 months, but we had nice conversations after we met in Mexico. And I also I met Dave Mustaine in Costa Rica when they opened for Black Sabbath, which I had told you about. That's when I also met Ozzy, and I had to take him 3 8 bowls for his time there. But
It's crazy stories, but it's all part of your experience and what allows you, I think, to understand this world more than most would when you do your investigative journalism. Like in addiction, because I mean, you struggle with your own addictions, but mine led to going to rehabs and stuff like that. But you get into rehab, and it's just like if they put someone in front of you that doesn't have the personal experience, you're like, get this person the fuck away from me. They don't fucking know.
yeah,
They read
yeah,
books and they took classes. They don't know what it's like to be addicted to this shit or to live this lifestyle or to be involved with the groups of people that we got involved with. So fuck them. And so when it comes to trying to figure out how this cult operates, how these people function, when you start learning more about that mixed in with what you've personally experienced, I mean, you have a much better mind for being able to understand some of these things. Now, like I said, I think there's good and evil potential in all of us. That's the point, and you choose it
Yes,
every single moment of every single day,
exactly.
and then ultimately Jesus Christ is the way, the truth, and the life. So when you hung out, just because I'm curious. I don't think I've asked you this. What was, I
Mhm.
mean, I kind of asked you maybe in brief, but what did you guys like? What was it like hanging out with Chester for the first time?
Man, it was super fun because I met him backstage, and he was with the guitar player, who is the guy that wears the headphones, and they seem to be really close. Then we were talking there in backstage for like 15 minutes, just having a drink, and we were talking about Stone Temple Pilots of all bands and Soundgarden and all this. So Chester was also asking me if I could show him around and get him back. At the time he was partying, so he also, that was more of my role because I had tons of contacts, and obviously celebrities and musicians don't want to deal with your corner drug dealer. That's how they get busted. That's how they get in the cover of Rolling Stone, and
All right.
Satanite, and arrested like he happened to Scott Weiland like 50 times. So obviously they try to have a contact like me, that it's someone that mends and mixes with the environment, if you will, because I was also a musician. So it's very easy. It's just a secret handshake. You make the deal and you hang out with them for a while, and they might call you the next day to see you again. But that's how it works. Some people you never hear of again. But with Chester, it was very nice. The guy was very pleasant, very funny, um, very active personality, very energetic, to the point that he was basically running the show when we
Yeah.
were at the table chatting. Now, when Mike Shinoda came about with John Hahn, who is the DJ, he made a snide comment at Chester, like mocking him because he was hanging with me, and there wasn't some other guy that wasn't famous or anything like that. So Mike Shinoda made like a dismissive comment about us being nobodies. So he made, oh look, there's four nobodies here or something like that. There was some stupid shit like that, and I saw that Chester was pissed off about that, but he didn't. He moved on pretty quickly, and then we went about our business and went out until 5 a.m. But it was fun. I did beat Chester at drinking, so I will say that there's people that really beat me up, like the guy from the Smiths. I couldn't. I even went to throw up like twice to see if I could pair with him, and I had to give up, man. Those British guys, old school, are something else, man. Same with Lemmy Kilmister from Motorhead. There's nothing to do there.
You can't do
But
it, huh?
no, yeah, like no, like and I appreciate the experience and all that, but I wouldn't be able to do it today. And
Yeah.
the thing with addiction is that it has main reasons to be, because nobody just wakes up one day and decides, oh, I'm going to shoot heroin or I'm going to do a line of coke. There is a need for disassociation uh, because of some present or past trauma or current lingering PTSD, or triggering because of a past trauma. So obviously, you self-medicate. It goes along those lines. Uh, when people um, tell you that you have a mental disease when you're a kid, oh, you're bipolar or you have borderline, or and they immediately give you 50 pills to suck on. So obviously, what do they expect? 15 years later, you have issues in life. You have many confusions, which was my case,
Sure.
about what happened to me as a child and what was happening to me as a teenager and whatever. And obviously, the first choice was to self medicate. It worked, and I kept doing it until I was like 20, 28, 29 years old. Um, but it was a miracle that I'm still here, because I did overdose a few times, to be honest with you. And the most serious one was a heroin overdose, because and this is something I don't think I ever told this on camera, but this happened in 2006 or 2007. I was 21, and I basically made a mistake. I was in a party with a lot of friends and girls and all that, and I made two lines on the table, but I didn't. It was dark, so I confused it, and it turned out to be heroin what I did. And obviously, 5 minutes later, I was blue in the restroom, and some girl that wanted to hook up with me found me unconscious, called my friends, and they managed to revive me. But those are kind of the experiences that you have that later on when you find Christ and when your life gets together, um, man, it really is something to look back. And I don't recognize myself anymore in the sense that when I look at that kid on pictures, I don't really feel it's me. You know what I
I
mean.
know.
I don't know if it happens to you. I suppose it does because you have been not drinking for a while now.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know how to explain it, and I welcome everybody here. As long as you don't, if you're not a satanic pedophile, I always say. I mean, there's other things, but and I
Yeah.
have my sins, and obviously I like have, especially I get going sometimes, I'm throwing around, bad words and stuff like that. But it's what I come from, and it's one of my bad habits. It is what it is. But I'm as real as I can be. But I can tell you that at the night that and I've told this story, and it's been a while. A lot of people probably haven't heard it that are here now. I've told this story one night where I did go into a hotel room to end my life, and that night I had the most spiritual experience ever, which was just basically a voice that said, "You want to live." I was just ready to be done. My mind was blank for like the first time, and I was just like, I was super drunk, and I knew I was about ready to black out. Like you get to this point where it's almost like a science in alcoholism, where
Yeah.
like you know how much you can kind of handle if you're paying attention, and you know
Yeah.
where you're at. And so I was ready to take a bunch of pills, and at that point, I had this
Oh,
voice speak to me, but it didn't come into my ears. It came into my chest. It came into like my soul, my spirit, and everything. And it said, "You want to live." And I remember all this like gold like light coming around me, and it kind of freaked me out. And I pylo erected, I guess, like crazy. And I was like, "What is this?" And then I kind of went back to being drunk, and I raised my glass and I said, "Cheers." Took a big old drink, laid down, went to bed, didn't kill myself. Woke up the next morning and then tried to convince myself it didn't happen. Other things happened along the way that gave me reason. Like basically, I ended up in this place. I started drinking again. I didn't want to believe it happened. I was sitting there and I was about ready to black out once again. I said, God, if you're real, I need help because I don't know where I'm going to go from here because
mm,
everybody was freaking out. I had all these messages on my phone looking for me, thinking I, might do it, kind of a thing.
of
And they were all
course.
freaked out. And then I'm sitting there, and all of a sudden, this girl comes in that I hadn't seen for a while, that I had worked with at Starbucks, and I hadn't been there for a while. And she comes in, and she's like, door. And I look up at her, and I'm like, there's my answered prayer. And like shortly after that, other than seeing her face go from happiness to like what is going on, because I'm obviously sitting in this place drunk, and she walks up, I black out, I wake up in the hospital, and it was stuff like that happened, and then so I've never been suicidal ever since then, and I was very suicidal for a long period of time, and then I still struggled with alcoholism. I'd relapse constantly, still struggled with that, but then October 31st, 2016. So coming up on that date will be my last drink, and after that, I haven't. It was like I've got to celebrate recovery, which is kind of like AA, but it's with Jesus Christ, and it's
Wow.
faith kind of
So
based.
you're clean. You haven't drank since 2016, since 31 October.
Yep, that's my date, man.
Wow. Wow. That's a lot of time, man.
And it was almost impossible for the longest time.
Wow.
I mean, like I said, two inpatient rehabs, lots of outpatient, lots of different counseling. I went into a mental health ward kind of a thing for a week where it was good for me, but I was ready to take my life, and I was telling them I can't stop drinking. If you let me out of here, I'm just going to kill myself. And they finally let me in. This was actually the second time I was begging for their help, and they got me in, and that was a good experience. But then I did relapse many times after that, and then it was
Of
one
course.
final time on that date, and it just so happens to be maybe the most satanic day of the year, and so I always love to throw that back in Satan's face as my sobriety date, and
That's
so
very
here we
interesting.
are, man.
It's very interesting because the timeline is very similar. I basically stopped doing it in 2017, after Chris died, I had like a relapse, and then I decided to stop for good. And then I told you that during COVID I had relapsed once, because things were very crazy back then. But it happens. So it's just one day at a
Right.
time. And
Yeah.
the shitty part is that even if you just relapse twice in 15 years, all it counts is the last time you did it. So,
Right.
if it takes to start over again, that's what you have to do. But,
Right. And not get so depressed about it. I honestly don't think about it too much, and I don't do meetings and stuff anymore. It was funny when I was going to meetings because there's people that I think are addicted to meetings. This is just my personal opinion, and then we're going to get back into the talk of
Mhm.
Chester and Chris because they were struggle with these things.
Yes.
But I meet a lot of people that believe that you have to go to meetings for the rest of your life, and I always thought like if I have to go to meetings for the rest of my life, I have a social anxiety issue. Like I don't want to. I'd rather be dead. So that was an issue for me having to deal with that. But they were always like, I was always like, what happens if like you get to the point where like you can't go to meetings, and they're like, that would never happen. That's not possible. And then COVID happens. And no one can go to fucking meetings. Now what happens? All these people that depend on their meetings, they just white knuckle it and barely make it to the meeting, and they talk about how they were going to drink that day. Now what happened to them? I hope that, it is what it is. Thy will be done. Whatever happens, happens. But COVID happens. Things happen. Pandemics happen. This crazy satanic world happens, and
Yep.
and shit gets shut down, and you can't be in a room full of other alcoholics or addicts to tell your story and make it to the next meeting. Some people have to go to a meeting like every day, or else they're about ready to fucking lose their mind. They get
Yep.
addicted to those people, and God bless them if that's your path. Great, it's not mine. Thank the Lord that I can do it like this. However, if I
Well,
relapse or whatever, I will be getting to meetings, and there is a place for them. But when it comes to talking about this stuff, it's important because it gets lumped in with about every single rock star or musician or Hollywood person. Whenever
yeah.
they die, they use these kinds of excuses, whether it was their past or their depression and the anxiety that they used to medicate with. This happened in both of these cases where it was at least part of the story. Struggled with depression for Chester Bennington. Chris
Exactly.
Cornell was said by even his freaking wife, who, if we get into what the situation was with there, I don't know how much we want to talk about with what was going on between that relationship and whatnot. But that's what they used. They used that he had relapsed, that he had been using some substances, and he didn't. Wasn't in the right mind when he decided to end it all. And you showed how much they try to shut this stuff down at that time when Eddie Bravo went on with Joe Rogan. And Eddie Bravo already at the time, and I don't know what to think about some of these guys sometimes. I tend to like Eddie, even
I
though he's
like
so
Eddie a
connected
lot.
in. Yes,
Yeah.
but he sometimes he says stuff where I'm like, fuck yes, he's willing to say it, so there's something
Yeah.
to it. But he's talking about how who hangs themselves with a stretchy workout band that's not likely going to work very well, if at all.
Yeah.
I
No.
mean, you'd have to really try. And then he has 9 broken ribs. And then what I didn't even know until I watched this last episode that we're going to see a little bit of here in this coming up is that there was a big gash and missing hair on the back of Chris Cornell's head on his final performance. That was in Detroit, correct?
Yes, sir. Detroit at the Fox Theater. And one of the things that we need to, because when I try to make a documentary about a crime like this, I tackle it as a private investigation, just like I would grab a case that I get hired for as an investigator. So I do the whole process, and I do the whole map and the whole annotations, just like if it was a real case. Um, that's why they're so meticulous, I guess, because most people that do documentaries about these things, perhaps with some exceptions like Tom Grant and perhaps a couple of others, not many people are licensed private investigators, and obviously that helps a lot. They teach you how to solve these things. There's many things that you notice at first glance that perhaps others won't for the first 10 times. And the thing with addiction is that we all have our favorite, should I say favorite, or um, favorite demon, let's say it. So For example, yours was alcohol.
Yeah.
Mine was heroin and cocaine until it wasn't, because heroin I never touched again. I stopped in 2008 and I never did it again. Thank God. And then it was cocaine and booze. But if you put other drugs around me like MDMA or acid or what, I don't care. It's not my
Right.
thing. It's not gonna have any effect on me. So with Chris, it says, well, his past addiction. His past addiction was two things: alcohol, and he used to take these pills that are opioids. What's his name? Um,
Vicodin?
it's not Vicodin. It's the other ones that are a bit stronger.
Percocet or
Percocets, perks. Yes,
Percocet?
perks. So that's what he was doing in 1997:
Right.
perks and alcohol, and that's why he went to rehab. So that's how do you call them? Benzodiazepines.
Yeah,
Are
benzodiazepines.
benzodiazepines. This substance, it's a drug that is mostly a somnolytic. So, for example, there's many people that, like me, I used to use it to fall asleep after a night of partying. Obviously, I came home after doing I don't know how many grams of Colombian blow, and in order to sleep, I took some of that. Never liked it, never became addicted to it. I guess that there's some level of addiction, but I never really felt it because I was dealing with other stronger stuff at the time. But in Chris's case, I will get into that in the last episode. But whatever amount he took of Ativan that we can prove, it wasn't enough to cause any kind of suicidal effect, because
Right.
the effect that that medicine usually causes when you pop 5 or 6 pills is that you're just gonna fall unconscious on the bed and
Yeah.
drool all night and fall asleep and have nightmares, and that's it.
Right.
Now,
It's like the idea of Kurt Cobain. He had so much heroin in his system. Someone else had to have doped him up, but he wouldn't even have had the faculties to be able to manage the gun and pull the trigger. He would have been so out of it. So the same
exactly.
case with benzos, when it came to what they tried to argue was what was the problem with Chris saying that he didn't have his right mind and he took enough
Exactly.
benzos to make a poor decision without really being all there. But they didn't
Which,
find that even in the autopsy toxicology report, correct?
yes, which of course it doesn't make sense. Let's have in mind that Chris Cornell was um, the earliest of the grunge scene to have been a junkie. This is not known by most people, but by the time Chris Cornell was 12 years old, he had tried every drug in the book. And by the time he was 15, he had already quit all drugs. He didn't even smoke pot. So, when he was in Soundgarden, he started drinking, but he was very fearful of the drug situation because of what happened to his friend Lane Staley from Alice in Chains. And he
Yeah.
also was the roommate of Andrew Wood from Mother Love Bone, who also died of an overdose. And that's the band that turned out to become Pearl Jam, because the singer died of an overdose. Then they brought Eddie Vedder as an industry plant, and the rest is history. During this investigation, I spoke with Jill Vedder, the wife of Eddie Vedder. I spoke with Talina Bennington. I spoke with Vicky. I spoke with Susan Silver. I spoke with the first ex-wife of Chester Bennington, Samantha. You name it. And most of these interactions were weird. That's how I
Right.
would describe them, uh, because there weren't normal interactions. These people didn't treat me as someone that was on their side. Uh, lots of distrust, lots of contempt, because they thought that what I was doing was perhaps merely only motivated because of financial reasons, which is a valid suspicion when someone wants to do a film about someone as big as Chris Cornell.
Right.
Obviously, I love the man. His music saved my life on many occasions. Same with Chester, but on a lesser degree. Chester is more like, because I met him personally, and obviously because their murders are very intertwined. Now, in regards to Vicky and Talinda, uh, I was discussing with you in private that the situation with Brittany Murphy, who attended Chris Cornell's wedding with Vicky, is that a lot of Hollywood actresses on the side, they do this thing that is known in the industry as yachting. So they go to these secluded locations in the Middle East. They go to Mykonos in Greece, where Vicky and Chris had a house. They go to Cannes during the awards, the Cannes Festival, and there they get paid $500,000 per night to go with a Arabian or chic in his yacht and spend the night and do whatever the guy wants, and that's what Brittany Murphy was doing on the side before being married, uh, especially after she broke up with Ashton Kutcher, I suppose. So
Yeah, which
Vicky was
also does tie like this. It's crazy. I mean, I guess a lot of these people are intertwined.
yes,
I don't want to get. I don't want to get off track. I'm sorry, but
no
it
worries, no
just
worries.
brought all these thoughts, like the different actresses and actors and people that were at the Chris Cornell funeral deal.
Yeah,
Courtney Love was
Brittany
there.
Murphy.
What the fuck? Her
There's
own
two.
dad wrote a book about how she was involved in Kurt's murder, and her own
Yes,
dad had been involved, like in the CIA or some shit. Like,
Hank. His name is Hank Harrison. He reached out to me in 2020. I have his screenshot somewhere, asking me if I needed his help with the Chris Cornell case. But because I knew that he was CIA, I didn't want to. I had too much going for me at the time, too much problems already, and I said, "Yeah, I'm not gonna deal with this old man, and much less uh, kick the wasp nest that is Courtney Love. You don't want that crazy bitch after you." Uh,
yep, she's like one of them. Whereas it's like she is bad. You like, who can argue she's not just batshit crazy?
That's it, crazy man, and she was born in the cult. She has been a witch for a long time. There's a lot of people don't know that her first gift to Kurt Cobain was this heart-shaped box that had like very very weird things, pieces of her hair, her underwear. Like it was like a witchcraft ornament that she did for him after she met him, and that was supposed to be like a tie thing for Kurt Cobain to fall in love with her. She was actively doing witchcraft before meeting Kurt, and there's a musician that lived with her before Kurt Cobain did, and also the guy from Smashing Pumpkins dated her for a while, Billy Corgan. But there's another guy that he basically tells the story of all the crazy shit she used to write on her diary, which was basically, I'm gonna become a punk rocker. I'm gonna meet the greatest punk rocker in America. I'm gonna marry him. I'm gonna have his children, and then I'm gonna take everything from him. And that was like uh, what she was setting herself out to do in life. Like that was
That was her
whole
like life goal, was to
her
be about
bucket
it,
list.
about as evil of a bitch as you could possibly be, like
Yeah,
the
yeah,
Jezebel spirit or whatever you call it.
yes,
Is in that one. She invited it in welcomingly, and it's sad seeing like some of the documentaries on Kurt and her, because Kurt is just so fucked up on heroin in a
yeah.
lot of it, even when he has his baby in his hands and stuff like that. And it's just like,
Horrible, horrible,
it's
horrible.
it's
And
tough to see a guy that, like, before I was awake to all the stuff that goes on with these celebrities and stuff like that, and the handlers and the Satanism and all that kind of stuff. It was horrible the way she likely encouraged it and fucking then acted like he needs to stop, but was like, hey, like, oh gosh, like the madness that he probably was dealing with in his own mind, besides all the social pressure, all the handling of the executives and these Jewish fucking motherfuckers that own a lot of the production companies, all of that shit, which would cause you to want to use your drug of choice. And then you got this crazy bitch that
yeah,
is just fucking your head up as much as possible, probably doing seances over you while you're out of your mind freaking high.
absolutely.
But
Oh my God, I
but
would be
she was
terrified.
at the Chris Cornell funeral. I don't
You know,
where. I don't know. They maybe all mingled to some extent, but why is she fucking there? And Billy
I'll tell you
Idol was
why.
there.
I'll tell you why, and that's gonna come up in the next episode. But I have already published about this in public, so I might as well say it. Courtney Love's role, just like it was her role when she started, which was trafficking drugs for the CIA. She was sent to the United Kingdom to tour with U2 when she was like 16 or 17 with a luggage full of acid that her father gave her to give to all the musicians in the UK. So, we all know about social engineering and how they want to have all these musicians doing drugs because they're easier to control, more susceptible to certain things, and to be more open minded about secret societies, Eastern mysticism, which used to be the gateway for people like the Beatles or Led Zeppelin. Let's go and play a sitar like the Rolling Stones did with what's that song? The most famous song that they have. Uh,
Paint It Back. Is that what did
Painted
they do it in
Black.
that?
Painted Black.
Yes.
Yes, they use a sitar. So that was a gateway that they used with the hippies, the Eastern mysticism. But with Courtney, that article when they caught Prince Andrew, uh, that he went to her house. It appeared on the Daily Mail, an article that he went to knock on Courtney's door in California at 2 a.m. and they took out these pictures at 2 a.m. and she was like, no, he was a gentleman. He didn't want it to have a booty call. But in reality, if you see the pictures, they're holding a teacup in the picture, and Prince Andrew, his eyes are in another dimension, brother. That guy,
Right.
I don't know what she gave him, but what I can tell you is that Courtney is one of the main big time drug dealers of all Hollywood, and it has been for the last 30 or 40 years.
And she was trained from very early on, and you kind of touch on that, I think, in your
Yes.
series.
Yes, I touched a bit about it, but she's the one that gave one of the drugs that you can find on the toxicology report that Chris had was given to Vicky, so Martin would put it in his drink, in Chris's drink, and that's a barbiturate that made him basically to be more docile. At the time he was attacked, Chris wasn't a weak guy. Everyone that I have met and interviewed speaks of Chris as if he had a superhuman strength, like the kind of guy that you don't want to piss off, and he can take down three guys at the same time.
Right.
So, when you see the injuries that he had, the 9 broken ribs, the gash on his head, his shirt was ripped, like someone grabbed him and pulled him back. Um, he had several bruises apparently. Obviously, I have not seen the body. There's no pictures of his corpse that I can access anywhere, and his autopsy report is only 5 pages long, when it
Right.
should be 30 or 40 because of the gravity of the situation. Now, you don't break a guy's ribs doing CPR. Someone like Chris Cornell, 9 ribs, you perhaps can break one or two, but to break 9 ribs, the person that was doing CPR doesn't know how to do CPR. And that's not. It
Right.
just doesn't happen. It has happened in people that are elderly and very, very fragile, and not ever 9 ribs. They get 4 or 5 fractures, and But if you want,
But did they say where the ribs and stuff? Because that's what I'm curious about too. Because where the sternum is, I mean, you're I guess connected to a lot of ribs, but I don't know if you're gonna get the bruising that he had on his ribs because it seemed like a struggle took place. And you're talking
yes,
about a guy that was already drugged with a little bit of
yes,
barbiturates and maybe some benzos and stuff in his system,
you have
and he
someone
still
that
was
are
fighting. And so like that's where it gets to whoever took him out must have had some kind of maybe military training.
exactly like the bodyguard. And what people don't know
Hmm.
is that the suite that Chris Cornell was staying in that night at the MGM Grand had an adjacent room that was used as a massage room, and that adjacent room got connected to another suite. So obviously, when the room was bolted from the inside, as you can see in the pictures, that the bolt is broken. when the security guard, the bodyguard allegedly broke it. But I'll analyze it because it seems like it was cut perfectly with a laser. Instead of being kicked around, it should be bent. It shouldn't be sliced like a pizza. But
Right.
that's what the bodyguard and the killers used to enter the room. Once Chris Cornell was already there, getting ready to rest, is my guess. He was ready to get to take a shower apparently after the show and to go to bed. My opinion, from what I observed, is that three people entered the room, including the bodyguard, and that's when the murder happened. And obviously, there was a scuffle. The guy fought for his life, and sadly, he couldn't win. It's very hard to win against three people, especially if the three of them are military trained. So, no matter if
Absolutely.
you're super strong. Um, but if you want, we can start with one of the clips and perhaps come back to the discussion and then show the other one.
I would love that. Do you have certain clips that you have lined up, or do I need to do it on my end?
I have them ready already.
Let's do it, man. I'm
Okay.
I'm super stoked, man. When you finally got this done, I was like, yes, finally gonna get him on. I love this, man. I love having you on. You're the man.
No, you too, man. We have to keep working together. I'm gonna try to pace up because I've been a bit. It's been a slow year for me, but I think I got my mojo back. So let's see if we can get more shit coming for next year and more content and more variety. Bono
Right.
is a complete pedophile. Yes.
And he is one of the worst, if you didn't
Yes.
know yet. And he was one of the guys that went over and met with Zelensky, and he was all part of the Ukraine thing. Same thing with Sean Penn. But Bono is evil as fuck. You can't
Yes.
say it any other way. He is bad, 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 and may have played into the Chester Bennington situation, but that's for another conversation.
Okay, so I'm gonna show you first. Let's see, entire screen. Okay, how about I show you the trailer for the next film, followed by the first clip, and then we come back to have a discussion, and we leave the second clip for later.
Okay, just real quick. The fittest flat earther, Tyler, whatever his name is, I don't even give a shit. That guy is so full of shit. I wouldn't believe a damn thing that guy says. That guy does 5-minute clips and then tries to say that he's proven that Chris Cornell is now playing Jesus in The Chosen. The guy is a fucking fool. I just wanted to say that. You can believe whatever you want. People follow whoever they want. I'm not a gatekeeper. I'm not telling you what to believe. In my research, though, show me a video where the guy's done extensive research, because all it took me to prove that his Isaac Cappy theory was complete bullshit was like 20 minutes on the internet and finding things where they were separately at two different places. The Rothschild guy and the and Isaac It's just the dumbest shit. That guy was a PE teacher that hated his life and decided that he could make money by selling bullshit online. And he's another one of these guys that's like a fake Christian. So F that guy.
Okay, I'll take
Yes.
your word.
And
I
I
don't
think
know who he
I
is,
think
but
his name's Tyler Hansen. You don't even want to know, but if you do come across him, he's a fool.
okay, perfect. I'll have it in consideration. I really don't care much about the flat Earth stuff. I do
Right.
think I'm ambiguous to it. We might as well live in a plain Earth, but who cares? Like, what difference does it make?
Right. I'll just tell you, like, he's as bad as a lot of the fake Q decoders, but when it comes to these guys like Chris Cornell, his stance is that they never kill their own.
Oh,
They
please.
love sacrificing these
Yes.
people. They always have a young piece of meat that's going to take somebody's place. They love killing these people and proving to all of them and putting fear into them that they own them. They fucking sacrifice these people all the time. So to think that none of these people that we're talking about have died and that they play somebody else. He has Chester Bennington pegged as the young kid that now plays Spider-Man. It's the
Yeah, no, that's
dumbest
ludicrous.
shit in the world, and he claims to be a Christian. Everybody should just hammer that guy and call him a fucking idiot. So the only reason I bring it up is because he calls himself the fittest flat earther, but I don't even see him covering the flat earth. Maybe he does. I just see clips that people send to me. What about this? And I'm like, horse manure. And I try to troll the guy, but he doesn't care because he's got a huge platform. But he's a freaking old PE teacher that wasn't making enough money, and he decided fooling people online was better. I would like to look into where he worked and get some people to tell me, if they would, what kind of a person he really was, because he's probably an arrogant asshole like he is on his videos, thinking he knows everything. Anyways, I just wanted to get that out because it's coming up in the chat. This trailer though that we're about ready to see, set us up, brother.
This is a film that I'm gonna probably publish in November, late November or December, and it's about the Kalergi plan. In America, is called the Piven plan. I think it has a different name, but it's basically the same thing, which is to inundate the Western countries with migrants to dilute Christianity and to dilute the white race. Which, a lot of people have qualms with this theory, but it's hardly a theory when you see that white people used to be 33% of the world's population, 35%, and now we're 11%. And that's not by chance, people. That's by design. They want us gone like the wind, because we are the hardest ones to control. That's what happened.
Right. You get a lot of the Scottish and the Irish genetics and these fighters, these warriors, and that is still in us, and they hate it. They want, and I'm not trying to be mean or racist to any group of people, but the Asian cultures tend to be more submissive. Some of these other cultures tend to be more submissive. Not that they don't have warriors in their genetics too, but they tend to in large numbers, and in some of the ways that they've already manipulated it. Yes. They tend to be the ones.
Perfectly put, because the Japanese have a heritage of amazing warriors throughout history. The samurais, you are a samurai yourself, so you should know.
Right.
But, know, they do have a trauma-based society that makes them way easier to control in certain ways. Because, for example, the Japanese have this beautiful culture. I love it. But they have these things like they have these traumas with sexuality. They have these weird things with the schoolgirls, certain things that is not by coincidence either. It's things that have been socially engineered for different cultures. But, in the end, what I feel is that I want a world that it has variety everywhere. If I want to eat Indian food, I want to go to India and eat Indian food. If I go to Russia, I want to eat Russian food and see Russian people. If I go to, I don't know, El Salvador, I want to eat Salvadorian food and see Salvadorian people. This thing of mixing everything together, it's a satanic agenda, because when you dilute the people's pride in their history, in their culture, in their family, you dilute their will to fight back.
Right, and they call it the melting pot, from what I've seen from their writings, the cultic writings or the Freemasonry, the way that they describe the plan for it to get these dominant. So what it does is it dilutes the dominant genetics. Like we say, all these cultures, beautiful things in Japan, beautiful things in the Chinese cultures. I love the ideas of samurais, and samurais don't fight unless they absolutely have to. They're very peaceful, but if you want the sword, you're gonna get the sword. I mean, I did some work with on Miyamoto Musashi though, and that guy was a fucking nutter, like crazy. Like a samurai or a knight or whatever came to their village when he was a young boy, and put up a flyer challenging anybody in the town to challenge him to a duel. And against Musashi's own father, like trying to stop him, Musashi just had I think he just had a stick, and he fucking charged that guy and took him out and beat his ass and murdered him.
No way.
And killed. What's that?
You worked with that guy.
I mean, Musashi's back in the day. This is the myth. Or the legend. I don't know. Some of this could have been, who knows what the true story is. But the story that I came across that seems to be what they talk about, and I don't know if it's in any of his writings, because later on, this is the crazy thing about Musashi. Musashi killed 60 men in duels, because when you fought as a samurai, you fought to the death. In the end, and after he had gone so far though and become like a master, he started fighting these guys who were using regular steel swords with wood swords and still beating them. But it would
Wow.
defeat them mentally so bad that it would break them. So it was almost like they wished that he would just kill them because they wanted to die a samurai death. But he was so done with killing at that point that he used a wooden sword. But anyway, so there's like all this like culture that when they start mixing all of our races, we lose the beauty of the traditions, we lose the beauty of the dominant traits that we hold that are ours, that we can come in peace with one another, but
Yes.
but it changes who humanity is. And then Biscuits, real quick, he did it. We just did John Calhoun's studies on mice, where he did this studies. He called them the mice utopias and different names for them. He did a bunch of them, but he put a bunch of mice together, and then the population just grew and grew. It starts out good, but when you get overpopulation, so you're talking about immigration, sending too many people into an area, that
Yeah.
also, I mean, it causes clashes, it causes
course.
like divisions, but it also causes a certain submissive tendency because there's so much competition, and the various things that happen with overpopulation when there's a fight for food, it becomes more about survival, less about courtship, less about various things. And so they do it on purpose. They've studied these things psychologically. Mice different than people, but a representation of similar things that do happen when you get overpopulation in areas. So they're sending all this immigration into places where we can't even take care of our veterans, like here in America, for example. We can't take care of the people that have problems with drug addiction, but yet we want to bring in all these immigrants. And then I was just listening to a podcast, and people will have to look into this. If this is true, this is crazy. But in the first 7 months, as much as it's been this big push where Trump's going to get out all these immigrants, it's only been like 250,000, and if you extrapolate that out over 4 years, it's going to be nowhere near the number. And then it doesn't take into account the H-1B1 visas, where he's bringing in workers from other countries to take very prominent positions into America. There are some issues going on with this immigration and the way that they are doing this, and it's going to kill our culture, not just here in America, because it's happening everywhere. It's happening in all the countries in different ways.
Even
So,
in
anyways,
Japan,
this is important.
yes. Let's see it. Let's hit it up, and then I'll come back and to see what you think.
Awesome.
Okay, I'll share the audio of the system. Okay, let's do it. You see it?
Got it.
Okay, perfect.
Turn the volume down a little bit.
Okay, let's see.
Yeah, just get the volume down a little bit.
Like that? Yeah?
Better.
There you go.
Yeah, man. Oh, we'll get him back. He'll have to pop back in. That's exactly what we're dealing with what they're doing throughout the entire world, in my opinion, and from what I can tell. Let me see if I can get him back in. Here we go. You shut everything down, man. You're just like, all right, I'm out. No, but we got you back, man. Yes, that is probably, especially the time right now. I mean, it's been time to talk about it, but more people are probably going to be open to it because what we have right now, at least here in America, and I think Trump and that whole thing, with especially the Q movement, has been a force for the whole world, hoping that America was going to be the savior, to
The
hold
beacon of
strong.
hope.
Yes, hold the line, and then in the Q drops it says U.S. military will save the world. Here we are with the whole situation, and it just keeps going forward. And I'm not trying to be a Debbie Downer. I just want my message is that it's up to us. No more
Yes.
waiting around for anybody. If there is stuff going on at the top, great. That's wonderful. And we'll meet them in the middle if that's the case. But we need to be aware of this shit and call it out and do all that we can. And anybody that's not talking about some of these things, I just think it makes it obvious. I'm making this whole grifter shamathon in this list,
Yeah.
and it's just basically fucking everyone, you guys. Every
There's-
single one that has a sizable platform, and then you can tell who their sponsors are, or you can tell what they're talking about where they are and being awake, if that's really a thing, whatever you want to call it. It's been watered down with the Q movement, but this clergy plan, as they call it, this has been in the works, and it is happening now. They've planned for this hundreds of years in advance, and
yeah,
it's
because
unfolding right now.
the first time they wrote about it was through the Protocols of the Elders of Zion, which it's a document that is from hundreds of years ago. And then the Practical Idolism, which is the book that the Count Kandahov Kalergi wrote in 1925. It's basically the blueprint to create a European Union post World War II. So we are talking that they were discussing this before the war started. And guess who was the person that wrote? There's in every book there's a person that writes a little passage at the beginning, like a friend of the author and stuff
Oh
like that. It
yeah,
has a name, but guess who wrote that thing for
I
this
think
book?
is it the forward?
Yes, yes,
The
yes.
forward, yes. Who
Well,
wrote it?
it was Winston Churchill.
Mm. Yep.
Yeah, and as it turns out, when you look into the genealogy of all these traitors, you find the same thing. Winston Churchill's mother, Jewish. And this is not to say people need to understand that when we talk about Israel, uh, we talk about the current criminal Khazarian slash Ashkenazi criminal state. We don't really. The thing that people don't understand is that Israel is referred in the Bible as the Christians.
Right.
After
God's
Christ was
people.
crucified, the people of Israel is us, the Christians, the ones that converted ages ago. Me, for example, my family converted probably 1,000 years ago, because if you look for my last names in the Iberian Peninsula, I actually have the right to claim Italian and Spanish nationality, because I'm listed as a Sephardic Jew because of the history of my last names. But that's the thing. The Ashkenazis, they even hate the Sephardic Jews. And there was a study when this COVID vaccine things. I don't know if you saw that they barely affected Ashkenazi Jews, because they can play with the genomes and
Right.
the DNA, but it affected Sephardic Jews. So that's very curious. Another thing is that even though if you have a Jewish last name that goes across centuries, right? Because it was 12 tribes of Dan. But the thing with the Jewish thing is that your mom needs to be Jewish for you to be able to form part of that bloodline. And I assure you, my mom is many things, but she's not a Jew.
Gotcha, gotcha.
The other day I was talking with her and I was, Mom, did you know that we fought on the wrong side in World War II? Because my mom is the kind of woman that I used to watch movies with her when I was growing up. We used to watch Band of Brothers and then the Anna Frank Diary and all those propaganda films back then
Yep.
when I didn't know better. And she told me, "Yes, Alessandro, I know." And the Jews control everything. They have been controlling everything for years. And I'm like,
You
"Fuck,
know?
you know, you know all this?" And she was like, "Yes, I've known for a while, and it's pretty obvious." And I was like, "Man, I thought I was gonna give her a class on on science." And yeah, most of my family is actually like that. Like the thing with the Christians is that we have always had these problems with the Jewish people, but from some point in history, like 100 years ago, after the World War II, this whole Judeo-Christian falsehood came about because obviously they have been using us. They have been infiltrating every single Western um, governmental and entertainment and media, all of it, with blackmail, and of course they have put Freemasons everywhere. Freemasonry is based on the Kabbalah, as is Talmudic Judaism. So when you if you ask a Freemason how much of Freemasonry is Kabbalistic, he will tell you close to 80%. So that's
Wow.
not a coincidence. But yeah, just to make a parenthesis, I guess, because people have this notion that they read the Bible and the Bible says that the people that go against Israel are going to be judged. Yes, but you need to understand who is Israel after Jesus Christ was crucified. It's us. It's not the synagogue of Satan that he refers to very clearly on a couple of verses. And there's many names in which the Jews are not described in flattery terms. So it's not about being racist, it's about just being a realist. And
Right.
sadly, there's many good Jewish people. There's always exceptions to the rule. There's good Jewish people. I'm convinced there must be a nice communist out there that I probably would take a beer with. I mean, to be honest, if I'm honest, my father-in-law is a bit of a lefty, and we get along just fine. This is not to satanize or demonize people in general, but we are making for me at least, it's important to tell people that when I talk about this tribes, these religions, I'm talking about the extreme aspect of it and the criminal aspect of it on a larger scale and on a minor scale. I don't care if it's the guy running the media as if Rupert Murdoch or Elon Musk or Peter Thiel, all these Jews, or a Muslim raping a girl 2 corners away from my house. It's going to be the same problem for me. Uh, as long as you're out to get children and women and the elderly and do it in the name of ritualistic black magic, that's basically my main target in life, to destroy these people.
Right. I think that's part of our. I mean, that was seemed Christ's mission, although his didn't make a lot of sense to normal humans because it was very mysterious and it wasn't understood until afterwards.
Yeah.
But that's what I think a lot of people have been. When you get into the human trafficking aspect of this and the really difficult stuff like you're talking about with the children and what they're doing, and they're really screwing over the next generation, and then you can get into the biodigital convergence of being under our skin and how their ultimate control and the things that they do to torture people by giving them all kinds of ailments with whether it's injections or frequency weapons or whatever it is. It is so dark, and some people have decided to unplug. Now, I'm not saying that everybody needs to like stay plugged in, But this is the fight, man. Like, I feel like we are on the front lines, and this is the crucial time. I'm not saying it hasn't been for a while, but right now, like we were talking about earlier on in this show, there are so many more content creators. There's so many more operatives. The mainstream media is not the only CIA propaganda mockingbird media machine. There is a mockingbird alternative media, and it is more deceptive in many ways because it comes in place in forms of like Christianity. It comes in forms of the guy next door, the girl next door, where it's just normal people. Bullshit. They've just changed the perspective. They've just changed the way it is because mainstream. So he started getting aware that they have a cadence, the way they say things. They're always dressed up. They're in a studio. They're owned by somebody. You can follow the money. Harder to follow the money unless they have sponsors like the wellness company and some of these things in the
Yeah.
alternative media. And guys like Nick Alvear and these asshat operatives, they're a little bit harder to peg, even though we've been doing a pretty good job, I think now, some of us that are aware of this. However, there's so many people that they get drowned out. And I've said it over and over again, people do not want the truth. They want the fairy tale. They want to be
Yes.
told the nice story that allows them to go to bed and get a full night's sleep. I get it. But some of us are really fighting hard. And what you just laid out there for that trailer, I'm excited for that project, brother. I think it's an important one and a very timely one that needs to be discussed even more. So looking forward to that.
Thank you, man. It's very necessary. I think it's urgent because I see what's happening in America. Obviously, I'm European. I live in Europe, but half of my family lives in America. So for me, there's no difference. When I talk about Europe or I talk about the West, for me, it's America. It's the United States. I lived there for a couple of years. It's our culture, my upbringing is very much intertwined with American culture because my mother is American. She was born in New Jersey. Now, the thing that I'm seeing in Michigan, for example, or Texas with the Muslims terrifies me. The thing is that you will usually meet a Muslim, and when they're the minority, they're very nice people. When they're the minority, wherever they are not threatening. They are very polite. They're very measured. But as soon as they hit a certain point, and this has been proven across history, you can go to the history books and see how they have actually um, conquered many countries that were Christian, like Egypt, like Morocco, like Libya, like Syria, through that initial infiltration. But as soon as they are 20% of the population, that's when the problem starts because they start getting enough power to actually, in this case, like it's happening in England, to put an outrageous number of judges, majors, police chiefs that are Islamists. So obviously, if their purpose is to push Sharia law in the West, which of course means that you and I will be beheaded if we claim loyalty to Christ. That's what happens in Sharia law countries. It's illegal to claim that you're a Christian. It's illegal to build churches. It's illegal to live inside the territory unless you pay the jizya, which is a tax that they charge to the non-Muslim population, just to not be killed and for their women not to be raped. But as soon as you stop paying the jizya, you're gonna get it. So the thing is that if they weren't messing with children and even elderly men, they rape the elderly women and stuff like this in Europe all the time. There's like 20 cases per day, and if it wasn't that way, I wouldn't care about this because honestly, yes, I'm a nationalist, but like if children and women are not getting hurt, I'm not gonna get so involved. But
Yeah.
the second that I see all these crimes that they commit with such violence and such entitlement. And obviously, I don't take sides. I criticize both. I criticize the Zionist Jews and the Islamists because both of them are going to do what they will without the help of each other. But the Muslims, without their knowledge, are being financed by the Zionists. They are the ones behind most of the NGOs bringing the boats through the channel, through France, and then to England. And of course, a lot of them entered through Spain and Portugal. We have we had 3 days ago a band of Moroccans came to the village I live in, stole a car, and mugged some other lady. And I already told my wife I'm gonna start organizing with the fellas here. And the second we catch a group of these people, we're gonna put hands on them very seriously, because that's the only way it's gonna stop.
Yeah, man. There's a there's a lot of dark stuff going on in the world, and I think the Q plan calls it, we got to reach the precipice when it gets really bad. I think
Yes,
that's just softening what's really going to happen, and it's not going to be good. I think we are nearing a precipice where there is no coming back from it. Now, thy will be done if that's what God intends. However, our role isn't to just pray and just let it happen and wait for Jesus to come back. In my
exactly.
opinion,
I don't
I
believe
don't.
in that either. Yes, we have
Yes,
to fight back.
we have to fight and we have to stand up for what we believe in. They want us submissive, and that's the only way that their plan continues to go forward. And we will not
Yes,
submit. We will continue to turn over tables, call out the liars and the thieves and the vipers and all these crooks that are getting away with way too much when it includes genocide or moving towards this plan that you just are getting ready to expose. But this
yeah,
also ties into the murders of Chester Bennington and Chris Cornell, because all this stuff is intertwined. Like we said, it's crazy how Epstein is involved in all of this, intertwines with all of this. Epstein was said to have been putting his own genetics in a lot of fetuses or babies, like creating a new race. Like, these guys are polluting the race in many ways. And then
yes,
we have people like Sabrina Wallace that are exposing things that I don't understand as much, because it's talking about augmented human beings. We're talking about biodigital conversion. So not only are they mixing our genetics by our own reproduction, but they are digitally changing us. They're bioengineering us to be
biohacking.
something that we've never been before, too. So now you also have transhumanism coming into play in this. And it'll probably be easier once they get us submissive by immigrating all of these different cultures together to get their melting pot where the dominant genes leave, tradition and cultures out the door. They want to get away from all religious texts. They want to get away from all constitutional Bill of Rights, all these old things, and start something new, which will be just like I believe a lot of the New Age stuff is satanic or occult. It'll all have that in the background.
It's very serious, because I what I predicted, what I think it's kind of drafted in the things that Albert Pike wrote, and even Manly P. Hall and stuff like that. That the idea for this World War III scenario is that they want the war to be fought in two fronts. So you're gonna have the Eastern powers, obviously China, Iran, Russia, against the Western powers, which is Europe and the United States. But at the same time, to cause more havoc and chaos, they want a civil war. At the same time that a world war is happening, they want parallel
Yes.
civil wars in between us, the patriots that are gonna remain in the inland. Because I'm not gonna go and fight some fucking Chinese because of some banking war. The day that I'm gonna go and die for my country is to defend the land here, and to prevent anything happening to my family directly.
Right.
Not to diminish the lives that we lost during World War II, and all these huge, amazing men that died from both sides, from Germany, from Russia, from America, Italy, anywhere. But I'm sorry, but if they realize the truth today, and some of them have, they would cry blood tears, basically, because he has been such a deceit. The First World Wars should have never happened.
Right.
These brothers and sisters killing each other in the most horrendous ways, provoked by secret society agendas, social engineering, psychological operations, like the murder of Franz Ferdinand. That was the catalyst that was pre-planned by the Freemasons. And obviously, we know what happened there with the Balfour Declaration and with Hitler during the World War II. these are things that people are not very comfortable talking about. They're more comfortable now, but 5 years ago, if you spoke about this, people would immediately tell you that you were going too far, that you were,
Right.
kicking the door of white supremacy. And my wife sometimes tells me, Alessandro, you're going too far with this nationalistic thing and vouching for new crusades, and now you want to start training with battle axes in the house, and because I
Dude.
get crazy. I start buying weapons and stuff, and my wife is like, "Why do you need another vest for military exercises?" I'm like, "You never have enough." But it's a thing where it's gonna be up to us, the Booma, and I suppose your parents are already old people, and they're gonna depend on you very seriously in the next 10, 15 years. I have the same situation with my mom, and
Yeah.
basically, it's gonna come to each one of us, men that are remaining in this crazy world, to protect our families and to protect any vestige of culture that we have left in America and Europe. And we have to make peace with the fact that if we die protecting our family, if we die in an honorable way, so be it.
Yes.
Better men than us died in more horrendous ways. Better men than us died bored in the deathbeds. And push comes to shove. If someone asks me when I'm 95 in my deathbed, if I would rather trade that to die in battle, defending my country or defending the innocence of this world, which is what we're really fighting for the good of the people, the good, the little good that still exists in this world is the main reason to fight back. So, who wouldn't trade that to have an honorable life fighting for that instead of dying in your bed when you're 95 and you cannot even poo by yourself? That's
Right. And you didn't do the things that we're talking about doing now.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And you have to die thinking about what it could have been like if I would at least fallen on my freaking, died on my shield or went out on my shield. Like,
Exactly, exactly.
there are certain things that are going to get slow walked, and these evil motherfuckers are really patient. I'll give them that. They
Yeah,
know they got to be careful because they're paranoid as fuck, and they don't want a large portion of the population waking up. People have been saying this for a while. However, they were being told this by operatives that were slowly but surely gatekeeping their consciousness and putting them into networks that were going to continue to massage them and tell them that everything's going to be all right. Fantasy is coming, utopia is coming, med beds, Nasara Jasara, all this stuff is happening. Quit with all the bullshit. It's been years and years of this. We need to act as if right now. Now, we don't need to lose our minds and lose sleep trying to come up with a plan for tomorrow, like immediately. However, I have little bits of that in me to where, like, now I want to just talk solutions. I want to expose this stuff because it all points to the way that the mechanism works. These people don't fucking even like each other. That's why they will murder each other and sacrifice each other. And if someone turns on the cult, then they will fucking be taken out and made an example of. But if we can continue to expose these players that are involved in this because they sell their fucking souls, whether you can actually sell your soul or not, they believe that they did because of what they get in this life. So if they can find repentance and grace and mercy from Jesus Christ, God bless them, and I hope that's the case for a lot of them. But we need to do something now. We need to do it while we still have our countries, because some people, man, it was just crazy. Some of the podcast that I was listening to today, they were talking about, I never really thought about having dual citizenship, but having maybe dual citizenship might be the way to be smart, because I want to stand and fight, like you said, boots on the ground in my country. I will stand. But if it's just going to fall because people are fucking retarded, and that's just the truth of it, unfortunately, the masses are sheep and they are retarded. Unfortunately, if we can get more consciousness and get more momentum, I still hope for that. But the case is that you might need to flee, or else you're just going to give them a quick chop of the freaking head. Like,
for example,
might as well just bring out the guillotines now, because Motherfuckers are not even going to try. I just want to
No,
see us try. And if we don't succeed, we know we tried and we can only die with our own respect
yes.
and
Listen, there's
honor.
two things about this that are very important that you just hinted at more or less. And you're very right. The first thing is that in any movement, in any group of people that you start getting acquainted with that are nationalists or allegedly under the same goals that you are on, there's always going to be infiltrators. That's true. But
Yes.
not because of that, you have to be always distrusting anybody. You have to make friends in this life. You have to network. It's hard. We have been betrayed tons. But if we think that everyone is an operative, then we're doomed. We need each other. So surveillance and um, being always aware of who's around you and their behavior, it's going to be critical. Also, if you assess a situation and you say, well, I think we have 10% chances of winning this battle, that's not a good battle to fight. You retreat,
Right.
you make more numbers, and you live to fight another day. I am of the opinion that if our chances are 30 or 40%, let's go for it because we have Jesus on our side, and 10%, 20% difference is nothing for the J man.
Exactly, man. Exactly. If it's his will, and I get this argument, but there are still things in place. Like I'm saying, they're trying to get rid of that as they bring in this immigration and this plan. The trailer just laid out, and we've been talking about. But if they get rid of all of the documentation that says that we are nations, for people that do believe that, then we've really given it away to them. Maybe technically, in the way that these people operate, there are no countries, there's just zones, and they just have all theater on the world stage because it seems like everybody's working in lockstep with the UN. And I've had a guy on Juxtaposition. He talks about how it's just all Hunger Games districts and stuff. I'm not saying he's wrong, but what I'm saying is that I have a little more hope. I mean, I don't know if I'd say a little, a lot, whatever percentages. I have more hope than Juxtaposition has that we can still make a
We
stand
have to
right
fight,
now.
man. We have to try. We have to try because uh, even with all the shit that this world has that is disgusting and evil, the good things that this world has is so much worth it. It's so much worth to fight for. And just stare at a couple of children playing with a puppy for 10 minutes and tell me that's not worth fighting for.
Right.
Because that's the main thing they want to destroy. These people don't want to end. It's not their end game to just destroy the countries, to destroy man, to destroy religion and Christianity. No, they are going after the very basis of humanity, which is children, and that's the
Yes.
way it has always been. And that's when we have to draw the line. There's crimes of crimes, but if we're not able to keep our children safe, then we have failed as a society and failed miserably.
Yes. I agree, man. I totally freaking agree. And I'm excited for that project. Keep me updated on that. There's so many people in here, dude, that are so stoked that you're back and they love you. And some people are just getting a taste of you and they're super stoked. I've been passing out your link tree. And then check out totaldisclosure.net is your website, right?
Yes, sir.
Um,
That net.
Everything's going to be linked down below. You'll have access to it. Please check it out. The work that you don't see Alessandro's on the internet, and he has been censored like crazy. We talked about it earlier. He had large platforms, and they took him out. Thanks, Gabe
Took them all
Hoffman,
out.
you piece of shit. And how did that Epstein file thing work out for you, you scumbag? Anyways, obviously he's still well connected, so I wouldn't mind tussling with him. I don't give a fuck. I got really nothing that he can expose on me, and my platform ain't all that big. I've always said if they take me down, I'm going to pop up somewhere else. If his will is that I continue to do this, it's going to happen in one way or the other, and I'm going to support Alessandro. And the work that he's actually doing is actually real investigative journalism, which you do not find in anything. I mean, most podcasters are just telling you stories, feeding you propaganda, making up shit. Gene Decode was the master of taking things that he saw on the internet, mashing it
Yeah.
together, and making it sound like it was something like crazy. Like with the Dracos and Alpha Dracos and Gamma Draconia is where he claimed that he was from and that I was from, and then he told me at one point just to be. I think he was just trying to kiss my ass so that I would do work for him for his video work. He's like D, just so you know, we're brothers on Gamma Draconia. And at this point, I'd already like gotten to the point where like I didn't believe any of that shit. I just thought he had some holes loose, but he was still a good meaning guy. But I was just in my mind, I was like, "Fuck you." I was like, "Don't like shut up. Don't say that shit anymore." But anyways, that was the craziness. So you get on these podcasts, you get on these networks, and then you get the Mike Kings and you get the fucking Joe Rambos. They teach you nothing. They're all just celebrating as if the war is already over, even though people are still dying, and all this shit that Alessandro is exposing here and that we talk about on this podcast, on this channel. It's like, come on, man. Like, are you serious? Like, just to think about some things, like, and then we'll move on. I want to get to the Chester Bennington and the Chris Cornell stuff now because I'm really freaking stoked. But just look at some of the stuff. I held on to Trump as long as possible. I voted for him, but he is helping Ukraine more than Biden did. He is doing things that are insane, and the tariffs are always going to come back on us. So I don't know, man. There's just so much theater, and people can believe what they want. I might still have some Trump supporters on here. Biscuit still has a little bit of hope, which I was surprised about. We got into it. And if you can't handle a little bit of arguing between brothers, like, you might as well just leave this channel. If you want to go kumbaya with some of these liars, then go kumbaya because it makes you feel good. But if you want real, like, passionate people that still love each other and care about each other but have differences, that's what you're going to get here.
Yes, exactly. If you like a good cut of meat, let's say you like a New York steak, you're not good. If you go to those other channels where it's this information central, you're basically getting, I don't know, what is like you're getting yardbird chicken.
Yeah, minced meat. You get that roadkill that they scooped up on a shovel and then threw into the bin and got it into the restaurant, and it's just like the cheapest shit you can fucking get.
A shovel possum is what you're getting, and a shovel possum is what you're getting, and it's hard work, but we love doing things well done, and we love doing things that not everyone else is doing because it gets really boring like that. I don't know how these people can even look at themselves in the mirror in the morning, but I guess they are very busy with their drugs, their prostitution, their swinging lifestyles. And of course, if you're doing all that crazy shit on the side, there's no space to really face your conscience anymore,
they keep themselves busy, and the live chats. If you go in there and just ask questions, because that's what I got banned from basically all of them. But I was just going in there and asking questions, and it's like immediately you get attacked. And I'm not coming in there being like I'm a complete asshole. I'm just coming in there and asking logical questions, and they start, we got to get Booma out of here, blah blah blah. And it's like, you can't even ask questions. That sounds like a cult. And then it starts turning into a war. But that's what they're doing. They get in the live chat. It's so exciting, guys. It's a movie, and we're about ready to have Nasara Jasara. My XRP is going to go through the roof. It's like playing on their greed and their desire to have, like, riches. It's kind of disgusting. Anyways, before we move on, we're actually gonna move on right now. But this was fucking hilarious. Alice is saying, is Trump using the Shih Tzu war manual? Yes, I think it. They can say it's Sun Tzu, but I think he's using the Shih Tzu manual. And that was fucking awesome. That's really good. And there was one question, Alessandro. Susie Q is in Substack, and unfortunately, Substack, I can't share your comments on the screen or they don't show up. But she was just asking that she is a monthly subscriber to you. She received an email from you stating banks are not letting monthly charges go through. Is that you? Just to make sure that she's not getting scammed.
Yes,
checking the email.
Yes. Because there was a situation with my processor recently. I had to do a lot of fixings. I'm not really a computer engineer. I did study it in college, but never finished. So I've had a hard time fixing the website. I actually fixed a lot of things this week. If you go, you'll notice it looks a bit better. But yes, every email, as long as it comes from Alessandro at totaldisclosure.net, it's legit. And yes, banks do try to block many of the payments. For example, I have people that subscribe yearly or monthly, but three payments go through, and then the bank blocks the card, not because the transaction is illegal, not because the customer requested it, just because they felt like it. I
Right.
suppose there is a blacklist of websites like mine that they don't really want to for people to be financing in any way. So that's
Right.
what they do. That email is legit. I always advise people to try to get longer memberships because the monthly ones are problematic, and that's why I also do these promotions, because obviously with a 30% discount, if you get a yearly package, instead of $70, it's going to be like 45, and it's very affordable for 12 months if you take into account all the content that I put out. It's basically
Yes.
like $6 or $5 a month, if you think about it. Actually, like $4 a month, so it's
Yeah,
pretty cheap.
because now you got that 30% off. See what I do, and some people subscribe to me, and thank you. And then I get donations that come in. I really appreciate it. That's how I, fund what I got going on here. And I got to decide whether or not I got to pay for Streamyard coming up, and I got to pay for these
Yes,
things. So I always appreciate it.
there's always
But
bills, and
there's
time is money.
always
You spend too much time working in this. We have to at least be able to excuse that time to our families. Uh,
right.
and and if you want good journalism or decent journalism, you need to stop paying for the Netflix. You need to stop paying for the Amazon and start trying to help people like us who are actually getting the information out that matters and that nobody else is putting out there. If
Right.
And of course, don't invest in Goldco and that those stupid things.
I know, man.
We
That they push all that bullshit.
Yeah.
And people can decide if you want to do Melaleuca and whatnot, but that's all that Operation Tomahawk is. Patriot Switch, and all these assholes are still doing that, even though they've saturated the market and sold them bullshit. Anyways, so my operation right now is a pay it forward. So if you can afford to help and support this whenever you can, then absolutely, then help me out. But I don't consider myself an investigative journalist. I might get more into it, and if I work more with you, I got to up my game. And I haven't been doing this as long as you. I haven't taken the arrows that you've taken. This guy, if I can get my finger pointed right, this guy is doing the kind of work that has gotten him death threats, and like is what we're about to even expose right now. Even though you're gonna need to watch the whole series, I learned shit, and I loved these guys. I loved Chris Cornell. I loved Chester Bennington. I loved Lincoln Park. Now I know some things where it's just like, holy crap. I had better ideas of even certain people that get pulled into this. I had hoped that Eddie Vedder might actually be a more decent guy like a Chris Cornell, but it changed my
it's not
mind a
looking
little
good.
bit. Yes, there's certain characters that you're like, the work that has been done here. It's just like, oh my gosh, this stuff needs to get out there. People need to have a better idea of what this is all about. But if we can expose some of these players that are loose ends that could feel threatened, which puts us in danger, I guess, exposing them. But that's the willing to do it because we can still chip cracks in their fucking shit. They are not bulletproof at all. These people all
No.
hate each other. None of them trust each other, and so therefore they're constantly in these little mind games of, can I trust this person? Will I be screwed by this person? And then we don't know how these contracts work. If you think about what even Dean exposed, and if it's true, we don't know the full how it works necessarily, but some of these guys might have a limited contract to where they were only intended to live this life for a certain amount of time and then be replaced, taken out, however it happens. Some of them go willingly. Maybe Amy Winehouse, like I heard some things about her, freaking the way they took her out, and it's freaky. Anyways,
Yeah.
Chester Bennington might have been one of those that had a contract that was limited and coming up. Did they give a middle finger to them on the way out because of the ways that they were treated that were not cool? I don't know. That's what we're trying to decide. However, how this works, let's get into that, brother.
Okay. So how about if we show the first clip right away? Are you ready for that?
If you got it geared up, yeah, just careful with the volume because it was a little amped up on that first one. I was like,
Okay. Exactly.
woo!
Because obviously, when I was a musician, I destroyed my ears with the speakers, but the amplifiers and stuff. So I'm a bit deaf and a bit blind, but I'll put it low. I'll put it low.
Oh, that raises your stock even more because that impresses me that you can continue to do this work when that's a little bit of a challenge. But yeah, you get around those speakers long enough, man, it'll blow your damn ears out.
Yeah, no, yeah, it's a bunch of. I even electrocuted myself like super, to the point that I blasted to the other side of the room because I grabbed the mic, and it was like connected. It wasn't doing proper earth, one of the cables was ripped. So I grabbed the cable and I got the whole fucking chuck voltage and got thrown to the other side of the room, and nothing happened, but that was a close one.
Did you black out until you were on the other side of the room? You were just at one point grabbing a mic and then you were on the other side of the room?
What I remember is that I grabbed it and it was like this and I couldn't get loose, and from one moment to the other I jumped to my back and I went like blasted, like the thing would have thrown me with a strength. And obviously I was like, it was such a rush, it didn't even hurt. I was like, what the fuck, man? That's some crazy shit. And I was probably high too, so
I bet that saved you. Maybe you have superpowers that you don't know about somehow, man. The electromagnetic magneto or whatever they call it, dude. You got to go test that out a little bit. That's crazy.
Yeah. No,
all right. Oh, and before we move to this, just because we're moving to the next stage. We do this started with the Digital Dojo Variety Show, but because it's my channel is also I am the Digital Samurai for Truth. We're gonna do this. We're gonna love that shit. All right, let's do this.
Let's do it.
See all of you. Get the fuck off.
Like that? The volume?
Sounds good so far.
Okay, let me mute myself to avoid any echoes.
Thank you. That's the spirit.
The last verified image of Chris Cornell alive is as he leaves the stage at the Fox Theater. After that, nothing. Not a single photo, not 1 second of footage. Then came a strange story. A fan claimed to have obtained Chris's autograph that same night. Signed, they said. The fan wrote, he had a police escort after the show, was traveling with private security, and there was hotel security. The situation didn't really permit photos, quote unquote. That single sentence opened a flood of questions. Martin Kirsten, Chris's bodyguard, also claimed there was a police escort and that Chris signed autographs after his last show. So, both accounts match, at least on paper. But that much protection raises another question. If Chris Cornell was surrounded by police and private security, how could anything have happened to him unnoticed? After a whole year of being aware of it and ignoring it, Vicky finally addressed the most disturbing physical detail. Observers noticed a fresh wound on his head, as if his hair had been torn out. That injury was never explained in official reports. A visible chunk of hair missing, a scalp exposed and bloodied on the back of Chris's head the night he died. When a fellow fan named Renee mentioned that head trauma might explain Chris's confusion on stage, Vicky replied, yes, it could have most certainly exacerbated all the symptoms. The word she used, exacerbated, would appear again in future interviews. Having spoken with Renee and myself, she is one more person among probably tens of thousands by now who are convinced Vicky has been lying the whole time. In an interview, Vicky said, I didn't know about that, so I looked at the footage from the show. It was the first time I did it, at some point in July. As soon as he turned around, I saw a huge bald spot in the back of his head. I thought, uh-oh, maybe this has been photoshopped, So I sent messages out to his bandmates and Soundgarden's photographer, and I asked if anyone saw anything. The photographer sent that to me and said, I didn't notice until I noticed. His bandmates also saw it. They saw there was a weird bald spot on his head. On all previous public appearances caught on film, there is no bald spot to be seen.
Thank you very much. Thank you. We're gonna do one more song. This is called "Beyond the Wheel." This was a young man's take on our country, our government, and all governments kind of sending young men off to war. We were young men at the time that we wrote this song, and at the time we didn't want to have our lives interrupted so that we could go out and maybe die to make more people more money that we didn't know. We've done well in music, but honestly, in the last 30 years, I'm not really friends with anybody that's a billionaire or that owns a business that is worth more than all of us put together and doesn't give a shit what happens to us. So that's what this song was about. It was about people, small groups of people with lots of money who don't give a shit about me and they don't give a shit about you. This is called "Beyond the Wheel." We're going to do a song about it. It's sort of about tolerance, provided that nobody tells me what to do. Nobody tells us what to do. Anyone can do whatever they want. I don't care what it is. Including you can fucking burn crosses on your lawn. I don't give a shit. You can burn your house down. Who cares? I don't. As long as it doesn't catch someone else's house on fire. This is called My Wave.
Footage from the Starlight Theater in Kansas City just 3 days before his death shows no bald patch, no wound. Yet, in Detroit, it's there, fresh, bleeding. This would surely seem relevant for any seasoned detective out there. Witnesses say Chris appeared disoriented, pacing, unfocused, classic signs of concussion or head trauma. So where did that wound come from? Bicky told the Detroit News he did not have control of his faculties due to toxicology, perhaps even exacerbated by other factors, including a head injury, referenced in 2 EMS reports left out of the autopsy report. Yes, you heard it right. 2 emergency medical services reports, missing from the official record. The source who provided this documentation claimed it came directly from Bicky. Back when this investigation began, I was part of a private Facebook group, a small community of people determined to preserve evidence that, today, has vanished from the internet. Inside that group were several women who claimed to be in direct contact with Bicky Cornell and Suzanne Silver. Some even seemed to be working for Bicky, paid, it appeared, to monitor the discussions and report back. Then, after a few months, without warning, I was banned from the group despite being one of its main contributors. Days later, my personal information appeared online. The person behind it, Antonia Basiliades, Vicky's mother. Added to many threats and incidents, I soon realized this wasn't just about what happened in Detroit. It was about control of the narrative, of the evidence, and of anyone asking the wrong questions. According to a DM Care Express report, first responders noted a laceration to the back of the skull, minor bleeding upon arrival. The audio of those responders clearly mentions trauma to the back of the head, yet none of this appears in the autopsy.
I'm on scene with a 53-year-old male, pulse and happy on arrival of crew. Unknown downtime, found by roommate in a hotel at MGM. Patient did have a exercise rubber band around his neck. Suggestions of possible strangulation, trauma to the back of the head. History of depression. Patient is cool to the touch in all areas at this time. Pulse has been on scene over 30 minutes time. At the end of the car. Pupils are fixed and dilated. IO in the right knee, ligature marks on his neck. We have established a patent airway, ET tube. I'm sorry, that was a dual lumen combi tube. We're not able to resuscitate him this time, so we're asking for pronouncement.
That's going to be 0133, Dr. Sweeney.
81 Alpha 142 copies, 0130, Dr. Sweeney. Over.
Chris's autopsy was just 5 pages long, released within 2 weeks. No birth date, no anatomical sketches, no full body notation. For a man of his fame and under suspicious circumstances, that's unusually fast. Too fast. Medical experts claim a proper autopsy can run up to 50 pages and minor injuries should always be documented. Yet the report says nothing about trauma. Vicky later told the press, if the autopsy report was thorough, some of this could have been avoided. Quote, unquote. But by then, Chris's body had already been cremated, even before the funeral. Obviously, before any independent examination could be performed. Evidence turned to ash. Some witnesses have shared in confidence that this violent attack occurred just moments before Chris set foot on stage in Detroit, as his disheveled appearance was not such on arrival. Vicky claims the band confirmed the wound appeared after soundcheck on May 17, yet none of them have ever spoken publicly about it. Where are Matt, Kim, and Ben? Where is Martin Kirsten, the bodyguard who last saw Chris alive? Why have none addressed the visible head injury, the police escort, or the inconsistencies in their own statements? Within hours of his death, before toxicology, before family interviews, despite the evidence of head trauma, authorities ruled it a suicide. Those pieces didn't fit in 2017, and they sure still don't fit today.
Let's not quit the program.
What's that?
Just trying. my best
Yeah, you didn't jump out that time.
Yeah, that's crazy because a lot of people don't know this about the head wound, and of course, the thing is that when people make videos about these cases, I don't know if you have seen a few, but I've seen it. And even the one that Nick made based on my research, because what he did is that my research was, I don't know, 150 pages long or something. And he just grabbed the main sound bites and ignored a bunch of important stuff to mix the Michael Jackson thing in. I don't know why, but like there's things that they don't appear on Pervywood 8, which is the one that I supposedly wrote. Basically, what was published on that film is a 3 page or 4 page synopsis of the whole research. So it goes without showing the head wounds. It goes without showing a lot of the interviews. It goes without showing, well, it also goes along the lines. There's many things I didn't give to Nick because I'm not stupid.
Right.
Obviously, he wanted to make a film about it. I corrected him because he didn't have the right narrative. He was going to go along with the silent children stuff, which on episode 10 I exposed that it's just another psychological operation. That basically the silent children, the rumor that I heard from one of the witnesses that doesn't want to be made public, is that the silent children is a film that was finished and it's a snuff film that was used to mock Leroy Moore, the producer of the Silent Children, which was the jazz player of Dave Matthews Band, because when he went to look for producers for this documentary that he wanted to make, he went to have a meeting in Washington D.C. with Barack Obama and David Geffen. Now I don't know how much Leroy Moore knew about everything and what he told these people. All I know is that he died. He had a terrible accident 2 weeks later, and his project was hijacked and then used to disguise, because obviously if you look at the connection, it's very easy to know what happened here. It's the FC connections, it's the Ron Burkle connections, David Geffen, Richard Branson, Tom Hanks, and Diddy, of course, because you have Mike Shinoda not only having a deal with Bill Clinton in which they traveled to freaking Haiti together, but you also have Mike Shinoda attending the freakouts, the so-called freakouts that Diddy was very entertained organizing for the last 30 years. Um, you know, a guy that has been, as you said, I don't know if Chester Bennington had a clause, a contract that said you're going to be famous for, I don't know, 2001, 2017, 16 years, and then we're going to kill you. But the way I see things is that the rest of the band had the agreement, and Chester came unknowingly because he was supposed to be that sacrificial lamb later on, because as they knew that he was Podesta's biological son and abuse victim, abuse survivor, Podesta raped him as well. That was a way of not only using the progeny, the bloodline of Podesta to put this guy in the music industry. He was very talented outright, of course, on top of everything. But it was a way to use this person, profit from this person, and then sacrifice this person and close loose ends. This
Yep.
is how the sick machine works in entertainment. And, if I hadn't listened similar stories by, I don't know, 25 plus different people in Hollywood and the music industry, I would also say this is nuts. These things are too crazy. This is not reality, but it is. And there's a lot of bastards out there, and I say it with love. I don't say it in a demeaning way. Bastards that were born in satanic orgies, in one night stands, crazy stuff that politicians and actors and musicians do, that are related to presidents, to princes, to kings, to queens, you name it.
Yeah, You just laid out like all the connections to everything that we're still dealing with right now. That a lot of even the MAGA and Trump supporters are now and operatives are trying to put under
To
the rug.
bury. Yes.
Yep, they're trying to get rid of it, and this is all connected. Like I said, when you get into even just the Chris Cornell part of this, Chester Bennington, um, it's been up in the up and down as to whether or not Chester was John Podesta's son, or biologically, his son. So you have confirmed that at least with some people.
Yes, I cannot reveal any names, and I cannot. I'd rather not even discuss the circumstance, but I can tell you in confidence. Yes, the rumor is true. For many years, I was on the fence because the facial composition is identical. When you see the two pictures side to side, it's shocking. And with the history and knowing how these people behave, it wasn't that far fetched. But as I am always fact based, even when doing this kind of research, that you have to pile up a bunch of circumstantial evidence to make a case, I was reluctant to even include that in the film. I did include it before talking to my source, and so I left it there as something that it's commented and rumored, but cannot be confirmed because we cannot confirm it without a DNA test or a testimony from either Podesta or someone in Chester's family. But but there's people out there that know the truth and that I happen to know and talk with, and it's true. We just cannot and will not promote the film based on that because I think that's irresponsible. If I was, this could go viral very easily if we were to promote it based on that alone, the Podesta connection, because people go crazy with that. But
Right.
we cannot prove it. If I had a DNA cheat here that I could show you, they have a 95, 97% similarity in DNA or whatever, then yes, it would be promoted as such. But
I
there's no.
know. I don't know what you have, what you could have, other than maybe some hidden microphone of them both confessing or talking about it or something where more people would even believe it. I don't know what you have anymore to like make people believe what's true and what's not. That's, I guess, what they kind of want. But that makes a whole lot of sense, and it makes sense that they would put him out there and that he would still be a sacrifice. And it's interesting because early on in Lincoln Park's career, or evolution, if you will, Chester had like hair, he'd bleach it out, he'd do different things with it and whatnot. Near like
Yeah,
at some point he shaved his head, which for whatever reason John Podesta kept his hair short. Maybe he was going bald. I don't know. I'd have to relook at some of his
I think he
photos
is.
at a certain time. But it's almost like Chester was trying to show people how similar they look, make it obvious at least. It's the same thing with what you showed there in the clip that we just watched. And I did not know this stuff. And in Renee's eyes said the same thing. And she said that he was her favorite vocalist, and she didn't know about the head injury. Now you see, just in what you showed there, for whatever reason, Chris Cornell was calling out billionaires. He was telling people very powerful things. Not that rock stars don't, use their stage to say certain things or whatever. But now that we know what happened, he was talking about not bending the knee to any billionaire. And he was saying they don't care about any of us. And he basically was saying the kind of things that were very aggressive towards the establishment, if you will.
Yes.
It was obvious that he was still pushing back against a power structure for whatever reason. And then it's interesting, both these guys seem to know something was coming, or that they were aware. I mean,
Yes.
now that we know about the head injury with Cornell, obviously they gave him a stern ass warning, or told him, like when he show him there, like when he's leaving the stage for the final time, I don't know. Maybe he was doing something where it was like saying goodbye to like this thing. Like I don't know. I don't know. I just when I look at this stuff now, I'm just like, what did he know that he was going to have one last stand to fight, but he was just going to go out by himself. You showed in this series, and that's why people need to go and watch the whole thing because you get so many pieces that I never knew. I don't know if we talked about it in the last one, and we talked about it on our recent call when we were discussing stuff. I had no idea on the day of Chester's death that they claimed that the family dog just all of a sudden decided to murder a chicken and run it throughout the house and a turtle, and there was blood everywhere, and they just ended up cleaning it up. They didn't forensically test it, and it was just cleaned up that day. There's certain things that you learn in this series that are so vitally important. But the head wound on Chris's head, that would have been obvious if he would have just pointed it out to the crowd. He never says anything, but there's another episode where you show him being interviewed when he did part of the soundtrack or a music for that movie
Promise.
that The Promise.
Yes.
He is being interviewed by the man who is having an affair with his wife.
Yes.
And if you watch the dynamic knowing that,
It's crazy.
it's almost, and I don't want to idolize him, but it's almost Christ-like. He's still treating the man with kindness. He's being humble. He looks him in the eye. I think at one point he even puts his hand on his shoulder.
Yes, he does. He does.
Like it's like kind of beautiful. The patience, the reserve, the ability he had looking in the face of a man that he knew was betraying him in a way and that his wife was betraying him with, and to have still compassion or to be able to express that at least. And then you see him at a concert the night that he dies, and he's got a head wound on the back of his head, and he says nothing. He just accepts that's what's going on. There's no point in blowing a whistle here and getting anybody else in trouble.
Yes.
I'm going to face this myself.
Yes.
I don't know the circumstances. I do not want to idolize these guys anymore. I do not know what they were involved in, and these people were magicians. I'm not saying that Chester and Chris were magicians necessarily. They were very good at what they did. But there's reasons to see a head wound, especially that size, with that much hair missing and blood coming out of his head. And the things that he was saying leading up to it, to believe that he knew that he was facing off and not backing down against the kind of power that had the power to erase him from the earth. Whether he knew he was going to die or not, I don't know. But the circumstances surrounding other stuff that you reveal in this with the relationship between him and Vicky gives you every reason to believe. He fucking knew. He faced it. He faced it like a fucking man.
They both knew the day they died. They both knew it was coming. The thing with Chris, if I may give you my opinion as a detective and with everything I know and the people I've spoken with.
Yeah.
You mentioned the bleach hair, which is a common trademark when someone is brainwashed. My MK Ultra. Like when Kenny got off the reservation, he was sent back to rehab and he came with the hair bleached. Justin Bieber, you name it. When Chris met Vicky, and perhaps when people, because this is a long series, it's crafted in a way that it's like a Netflix series, which is 12, 13 episodes long, but it's like a true crime documentary. You will see that on one of the first episodes, I speak how they met. Vicky met Chris because she was working at the concert that Audioslave was giving in Paris. At the time, Vicky was living in Paris with her family. She was a publisher, even though there has been nothing published with her name. So obviously that was a cover, because she and her brother worked with a hotel owner that is like the Soho Club, very infamous for being used for orgies, parties, escorts. You have all these high class people that have all these deviancies. It's very common. It's more common than people think. That's how they met. At the time, she was dating two guys plus seeing Mark Wahlberg on the side, and when they got married, well, when they met, Chris has his hair bleach. He had just come out of Promises, which is a very famous MK Ultra rehab center in Malibu, if I'm not mistaken. So that's just to close what you said about the bleach hair about with Chester, because with Chris it happened the same way. There's several parallels. Uh, with the thing of them knowing what was to happen, it's very complicated because I've heard different things, but one thing doesn't cancel the other. So it might as well be that all of them together. Of course, it's there's the infidelity, there's the abuse they suffered as children, there's the knowledge that they have about some of their acquaintances and some of their bosses participating in very demonic stuff with children. That's
Yes.
something that even if you're not part of it, it's an it's something that people gossip about and talk about in after parties and stuff like that. And that's what most good people that are in the entertainment industry that have not yet signed the blood pact or are just starting. This is less common nowadays because nowadays they start very young, but in the past, people made it via skills alone, and then they were gradually groomed into accepting the worst part of the death cult, which is obviously ritual sex magic for
Yeah.
different purposes, using children and doing all kinds of demonic stuff among each other. The thing with Chris is that we have the wife lying to him all his life about the children that they're not his. The thing with Chris is that he was infertile. The only way that he could get his first wife pregnant was via petri dish, in vitro fertilization.
Wow.
So
Okay.
Vicky claims that she got pregnant the first time they slept together. She had to say that because at the time that they slept together, she was already pregnant, and of course she wanted to marry someone wealthy as Chris, probably pushed by the Epstein crew. Because imagine what would happen if Chris and Chester were alive today in the current climate with all these cover-ups involving Diddy and Epstein, and I think they would blow the gasket and go crazy and just do something about it. They couldn't be alive by the time all these reveals happened. It's like now with the Maxwell ordeal, that's just getting a deal in jail. Virginia Roberts had to be murdered for that to be able to happen. They have to
All
tie
loose ends, all the loose ends, or anybody that could possibly be a problem needed
derail
to
the
go away.
operation. Yes,
Yeah,
derail
that's
the
why I'm
operation.
saying the way that you broke this down, and obviously you got the bleached hair, so you got like guys like Kanye that have at times it seemed told some truth, but at the same time these people love to have the truth out there in ways where it could still be. They can say that Kanye is just fucking crazy and out of his mind, so he can say whatever that the truth is, and and they can just write it off, and people don't take it seriously. So they don't mind maybe something like that. But in this whole, I mean, 7 years of doing this Louder Than Love series, the amount of people that were taken out, the Cranberries lead singer, Anthony Bourdain, the kind of people that maybe would have been more vocal and problematic during this period of time,
Yes,
they're
yes,
all
yes.
gone. They're all
Especially with the Israel
fucking
stuff.
gone.
Yeah. No, yeah, and even well, I don't know if it's your case too, probably because this thing that we do is a bit crazy, but at least in my circle, I've lost three people that I know of. Well, Isaac Cappy, who I used to talk with, obviously was murdered when we were talking. And then there was one of the women that was part of this research group of Chris Cornell that died of an overdose while we were doing this research. So that was a bit sketchy, but I don't rule out being uh, what actually happened. I don't want to get too conspiratorial without any any basis. And
Right.
there's the guy that wrote the blind item about the compound that Ghislaine Maxwell had in Venezuela, which of course closes the loose ends of on these connections a lot with Chris and Chester, because when you see who visited Venezuela and shook hands with Hugo Chavez at the time, Courtney Love,
Right.
Billy Idol, Sean Penn, who is best friends with Eddie Vedder. So obviously, like, you can see how Courtney is always two steps behind Jeffrey Epstein. Why? Because she was a drug dealer of all the stars and of Jeffrey Epstein as well. Jeffrey Epstein needed drugs to drug his victims, and Courtney Love
Yeah.
was a provider for that. So yes, Chris, not only did he confronted his wife about the children and about the foundation stuff, the money gone before this situation. They were already, the divorce filings were already delivered. It was only a matter of being processed. Vicky didn't sign, but that didn't matter. They were going to be processed anyway because Chris allegedly filed this divorce petition with evidence of infidelity and fraud, basically, because he was being defrauded by his wife.
And that's how we know that he likely knew at some point he was fucked,
He
because
knew he
it
needed to
goes in.
protect his children. His wife is
Yes.
part of this ring. Everyone is close to his children. Tom Hanks is one wife away from abusing any of his two kids.
Right.
It's crazy to have Tom Hanks as the husband of your godmother. That must be nice. Um, Not only that, there is this connection with Anna Vici, which is a trafficker in Greece that is actually linked with Ciro Orsini, that is the handler of Sasha Stone. So even that connects to all these grifters, some of these grifters in the fake awakening movement. Um, the other connection, for example, that comes to mind is the thing of the knowledge that they had of this snuff film, The Silent Children. That's one of the things I heard. I also heard that Vicky had a black book herself because the Cornells had several properties in America. They had one property in Greece, one in Paris, and if I'm not mistaken, they had two in California, one in New York, and two properties in Florida. One of the properties that they had in Florida, which is an apartment complex that Vicky bought, it was being used to house the Instagram models and actress wannabes and model wannabes that Vicky was pimping to some actors and to some billionaires herself. So she was involved in sending girls, that's what I heard, to Dubai, to Mykonos, to Cannes. She's probably still involved in that, for all we know.
Right.
And Talinda was one of those girls before she met Chester. Talinda was an escort that was invited to a rock party that Chester's handler organized in his mansion. It's
And
it's
she had
just
already slept with a guy before hooking up with Chester once he showed up.
with his best. She slept with his best friend 8 hours before sleeping with him, without even taking a shower. This is the kind of people we're dealing with here.
Yeah.
There's not much moral compass there, and of course, Chris already knew that his kids were probably threatened. There was a reason why he wasn't speaking out like he could have if he had
Right.
any kind of evidence. His wife was involved, so it was a very delicate situation because what happens if the wife gets killed? What happens if the wife gets arrested? His children suffer too. So
Right. He's weighing in the kind of things, like, even if he knows that his wife is an evil bitch,
yes,
the kids probably don't really know. The
no,
kids probably don't know. Maybe they'll learn that they aren't actually his. Well, so
maybe
you
now,
know,
yes. Yes.
Yeah, they might know that by now, but he still loves them all the same, and because he's just
Yes.
that kind of guy. It seemed like because he could have made he had crowds of people. He could have fucking told them whatever, and it would have been recorded, and it would have been something that people could have talked about. Maybe he knew that it would have been shut down, but he seemed to go to his. He met his maker. He went out with a fight, but he went
Yep.
out it without putting other people in jeopardy, is what it seems like based on the investigation and the way that you've laid this out. And from what we can tell, he showed his last public appearance. There's also more that comes to signing of an autograph there. There's more that comes into play with this bodyguard motherfucker.
Yes.
And Heidi Klum and that, which is crazy. People got to check out this episode. They got to check out the whole thing. So what I did, like Netflix, I binged the shit out of this. Then I realized you weren't going to get right to it, so I was like, So I waited on episode 11 and let it sit there, and then until you finished 12, then I hit 11 and I hit 12, and now I'm
Nice.
going to be jonesing for the 13 because we've discussed some of the stuff that you're going to put in it. Is there another clip that you want to get to at all during this episode,
Yes.
or do you want to leave?
No, let's show the last one. What do you think we should show? Maybe perhaps a bit of the bodyguard and Heidi Klum.
Yes, but also we don't even have to show like all the video. I want to show a little bit of this freaking pastor that he interviews with, and then you tell if you would tell a little bit of that story, just a little bit, because he came out after so much time in 2020 and had that interview that was like a softball interview and it was all staged kind of a thing. But then if you want to get into if you would get into the Heidi Klum stuff, I mean, let's set it up if you want. That's up to you, man.
Okay. Okay, sure. So basically, we're gonna show the clip with the gay pastor and the hero poaching hunter saving the rhinocerons to clean his bad reputation. What happened is that Martin Kirsten, we're gonna see it, but the guy was in hiding after the whole Chris Cornell situation for 3 whole years, and then I made two articles that went viral. What I mean when I say that they went viral is that obviously I see every single visit that my website has, and I know exactly which page people were looking at and from where they came from, which browser, which search engine, which social media link. So, at the time, these articles were getting 20,000 views per day. So, obviously, Vicky was on top of everything. I published this thing, and Martin Kirsten, the bodyguard of Chris Cornell and the last man to see him alive, came out of the woodworks to do a PR stunt interview to try and clear his name a bit.
Right. I just want people to be able to see this face, and I know you're going to show the clip here in a moment. This is the bodyguard that he's talking about right now.
Bodyguard.
So I just wanted to show that. I know you're going to get into the clip, but this guy, I watched this obviously by myself, and as soon as I saw the pastor that's interviewing him, I'm like, that guy's
We
gay.
have, yes. We have,
That guy's gay.
a similar gaydar because when I saw them, I don't even care anymore at this point. Every video that I have has one gay guy in it, at least. But, with these Hollywood people, there's always one gay around the corner. But as soon as I saw this pastor and I saw his mannerisms, I said, this guy is a pillow biter. I'm sorry, but I had to say it.
Right. And it's just one thing to be gay and be openly gay and live that lifestyle. That's your freaking choice. But when
Yes.
you're going to pretend to be a pastor, it looks like they've set you up in a way where you're a mega pastor of some sort or a well-known pastor to a certain extent and making good money.
Yep.
And you're an obvious homosexual.
Yep. Yep.
Then what I know on the world now with churches and human trafficking, I think without knowing it, I don't care. I don't know if he is. I'm saying that right now. I don't know if he is. I think him and his church and whoever he's involved with, human trafficking. Fuck that guy, because if he's willing to be a homo and lie and pretend to be a pastor, a Christian pastor, that's about as evil as it freaking gets for me, man. And I saw it right away. And if people don't see it, then let me know. But I don't see how you can't see it. And it's even through the interview, his foot, he's got his like leg crossed on his one leg, and his foot's almost like touching Kirsten. It's almost like he's just like rubbing him. Like, I got you here. Don't worry. We're going to make it look like you're this great guy.
Yes. It looks so fake and so forced. And of course, I the first thing that I was looking at when I saw this interview, because it was very funny. All these good old times, despite my life being better now, being married and all, and not being crazy, living with my mom in the basement. The thing is that, it was amusing because Gabe Hoffman was panicking, Martin Kirsten was freaking the fuck out, Vicky's mother was posting about me like 3 times per week. So it was I'm not gonna lie, I was a bit nervous, but at the same time, it was entertaining. I mean, to have all these criminals, because that's what they are, a bit rattled, it's good enough for me. That's reward enough, even though you don't expect to even get that for these people.
And that's why people need to continue to share this stuff. I mean, like, we're the ones that's going to take heat if it gets there, and we're willing to do it. I mean, I haven't had what you've had, so maybe the heart beating will be a little bit more at that case. But at the same time, man, like I don't care if, like, even if your voice is going to shake, you need to speak up. That is where we are at. The longer that good men do nothing, the worse it's going to get.
It's like Chris Cornell used to say, if you see something, say something.
Yeah. You have to. You have to, and we have to get this out. Like I said, they've saturated the whole playing field with all these influencers and content creators, and most of them are fake and gay. It's just like we're talking about here. And every show and movie that you watch now, it's like lead characters are gay, lesbians, it's all common. There's transgenders and everything. And hey, if that's your choice in life, okay. But the way that they're putting it in everything now is over the top, and it's stupid. And I'm pushing back on it because it's fucking everybody's heads up, especially our young. Another attack on our youth. And that's what pisses me off. But let's get into this freaking pastor and somebody that needs to be looked into even harder. And I hope this will sell this even more, because you guys are going to see how much of a scumbag this Kirsten guy is, the bodyguard, and how dirty this whole thing works, man. You can still hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, like the volume, probably have it like at the 95% or 100%. I don't know what you have it on.
120?
Nope, I want it at 100.
Okay, 100.
I think we'll be good. Let's do it.
Okay, let's try it.
Back then, cell phones. So it was still the landline at home,
right,
with the big cord attached to the phone. And we got the call on a Sunday night, and it's the military police. And then,
you're coming with us,
Mr. Kirsten, tomorrow morning, be at the bus station. I'm like, what if I don't? And they'd be like, don't let us come find you. And so I did. I showed up. And
did you sleep that night?
I mean,
because you were a kid. You must be like
17
years old. You're going into the South African military, not by choice.
No.
Were you
had to go?
What were you doing the night before?
Like, I don't know. I don't even think I packed a bag.
Really?
I think I had like a backpack of stuff, and you don't know what to expect, and you just know that it's an intake that periodically throughout the year they back then it was the old South Africa, so white South Africans had to attend. You either went to college after school or you went to the military. And so you figure it out quick, and everybody toes the line, and that's how you learn as a unit.
Yeah. Are you in touch with anyone from your unit?
Not a lot, not anymore. It's sad. Everybody just goes their own way, and life starts to happen.
Well, you're on a different continent now too.
Yeah.
What would be like a couple of differences between South African military and U.S. military? Are there differences per se?
I don't know. I think the general basic training part is generally the same. It stays the same because there's the start, the build up, and then you go to graduation, and then everybody deploys to wherever you go.
Okay.
But looking back, it was really helpful and beneficial for the rest of the trajectory of my life.
Yeah. And then you get out of the military. Did you ever do combat or just the?
Yeah, we went to the border.
You went to the border.
Yeah,
Okay.
and so that was the Angola border back then. But yeah, got out of the military, and then
What was your dream? Like, did you have an American dream of like coming to the U.S.? How did that happen? That you got?
So coming here, I wanted to be a personal trainer. I got my personal training certificate in South Africa, and did a bit of training in London at the Reebok University.
How did you get to London?
Oh, we used to work there. London is famous for the jobs that no British guys want. South Africans do those
Africans,
jobs, barback or rug auctions or forklift drivers on the docks, and we'll take it.
A month after I published a deep dive on this man, he finally decided to come out of hiding. The interview you just saw wasn't conducted by a journalist, but by a pastor. Sort of. Caleb Anderson, founder of Spirit Farm, a self-help platform blending faith and leadership. It reeks of a public relations performance, a carefully curated image designed to soften a man under scrutiny. Morgan Kirsten. As a South African born September 26, 1972, he claimed to have fought for his country during the border war in Angola, a conflict that ended when he was just 17. Such a claim would be chronologically improbable unless underage enlistment occurred. Stolen valor is considered one of the most serious forms of deceit within military and veteran communities. It's not just lying. It's claiming another's pain for sympathy and reputational points, which usually leads to personal and financial gains. Among service members, even exaggeration is viewed as deeply dishonorable. This is important to note as it paints a clear picture of Kirsten's character and integrity and how far he is willing to go in life to advance his position. Having said this, there is no evidence or documentation found out in the public in regards to any service he concluded with the South African Armed Forces. Then we have another example of his flaky integrity. Kirsten worked as Heidi Klum's personal bodyguard for approximately 4 years prior to their relationship being publicly acknowledged. In September 2012, the married woman confirmed that she was dating her bodyguard. It was later revealed by the ex-husband himself, English singer and producer Seal, that the relationship was adulterous, as it started under his nose in the home the married couple shared with their children. This romantic relationship lasted for about a year and a half before they broke up in 2014. I'm not even gonna dive into why it is so terrible that a bodyguard starts a relationship with his married client. But on top of it all, the tabloids reported that Klum played the role of a sugar mama following the breakup. The model allegedly bought her ex-boyfriend a house for his mother in his home country and gave him money on top. Online investigators began drawing lines, some factual, others speculative. One question persisted. How did Kirsten, a relatively unknown bodyguard, enter such elite and secretive worlds? This is when things get dicey for both. Klum is a known associate of Naomi Campbell and Tom Hanks, who is married to Rita Wilson, one of Vicky's best friends and the godmother for Tony Cornell. Campbell and Klum are both rumored to have served as Epstein girls, handlers, fixers, and escorts themselves. They worked under the Leslie Wexner umbrella. A member of the Zionist think tank, the Mega Group, and also a big IDF supporter.
There you go. Those are little clips.
Gosh.
The Heidi Klum thing is it finishes to tie some of the obviously we need to connect Martin Kirsten to something. There's the rumors that he was a bodyguard and driver for Jeffrey Epstein in New York because he apparently hanged there with Heidi Klum a lot. Apparently, she has an apartment in Manhattan as well. So he allegedly that's how he got recommended to Vicky Cornell as a handler and later on executioner. Sadly,
Right. And then Les Wexner, being the guy that basically made Jeffrey Epstein. Victoria's Secret, which is the secret is that her name is actually he and it's Victor.
yeah,
But you see how it all connects together with all these various players and the way they intersect. More people should know this Kirsten guy. He's a complete scumbag no matter how you slice it. Like we were saying earlier, at one point there was a lot. There was fewer people doing what Alessandro does now and was doing then. There was fewer people back then. You said that you released was it typed up an article or something pointing to that guy, and then a
yes,
month later he came out of like hiding, like you hadn't heard from him, and did that interview. It was like
yeah.
had to recreate his image and put something out there for the folks.
A month later, after I published, because in the beginning I was learning to edit, I wasn't doing documentaries. I was mostly a writer and did tons of social media. I did some videos, but very poorly done. The first Louder Than Love teaser is a disaster. But of course, it was the very first time that I grabbed software and I just wanted to play with it. And, obviously the internet never forgets. But
It is what it is. Everybody has their starting points. My
Exactly.
my joy, even though I was still learning so much stuff when I started this channel, my joy is that I did all my shittiest stuff when I actually worked for Gene.
Well,
Suck it.
I can say the same because honestly, when I start, obviously I was a very good researcher, but I wasn't much of an editor when I started working with Nick. So he kind of took a chance with me based on my research skills. But I really learned to edit while I was working with him. So, I do gotta admit that that's fortunate, I guess. But you were
Right.
saying about you asked me a question, or am I
Well,
mistaken?
what I really want, I mean, like you put out an article and then he did that interview with this gay
Ah, yes.
pastor.
Yes, and
So
at the
it's
same
like
time,
it's so people have to understand that the amount of information like today it's so fucking saturated. It's like they can get away with almost anything because they just
yeah,
run the next thing. Or if they want to sacrifice somebody like Charlie Kirk or whatever, they'll do that to clog up the news cycle. They want to talk about Ukraine. They want to talk about something going on in Israel or whatever it is. They have ways of deflecting now that they didn't have so much back then, even though they did have it in the mainstream easily. But you writing an article and having been covering this closely, and you having still had, I mean, I don't know if they had taken away your big platform at this point, but you
yes,
still had, they had taken it away. But you
yes,
still had underground, probably numbers that weren't showing, and people that followed your work. And so if they did come across this and share this, this was damning to him. And so it just makes sense that you could have put the pressure on that caused them to be like, you need to come out and you need to talk about this. When he first, and I don't think it showed it in the clip that you showed, and I don't want to get, like I said, I don't want to give too much away, but the first time he even comes up to mention the tragedy that happened, he doesn't
yes.
even mention Chris's name. What kind
Doesn't
of a
mention
fucking
Chris.
what kind of a scumbag? Because they do bring it up. It's not like they were just going to pretend like and gloss over it. But he
Yeah,
doesn't even bring Chris's name up. That's
no,
very telling. That's
yeah,
very dickish. That's very messed up. And then it's just like I said, if you can't see at this point, only the people that love Hollywood and then they maybe even just think that a lot of Christianity is fake, and so they see these gay pastors, they have to know that he's gay. How do you not see that he's gay? Only like dumb sheep, bull Christians just can't see that guy's gay. I don't get it. I don't get it. But why they chose that guy, I have no freaking clue. He must be attached to something bad because, man, if you're messing around with this guy and then like the whole Heidi Klum thing, like this is a very high profile person at this point. Yet it shows how under control she still is to do exactly. It's like I could just see these sick fucks like Wexner and these people that control these people being like, "You're still a fucking Epstein girl. You're still our fucking little bitch. You're gonna do what we want you to do." She leaves Seal, has a fucking affair with this piece of shit, and fucking you disclose some of the stuff that she does that it almost seems like she's helping to pay this guy off.
Yes, basically, the plan was already underway, and that's something that, as far as I know, Chris Cornell was in fear of his life or his livelihood since around 2014, 2015. Because that's when things start to change in his personal life. That's when he's allegedly spending most of his days sleeping at another apartment, the one that they owned in Miami, because he's already separated from Vicky, but not made it official for the kids.
Right.
But that process took a year and a half, something like that. That you have the murder of Monica Peterson in Haiti, which is a lady that allegedly was in touch with Chris Cornell. Her family, one of the sources that because both of the family members remained anonymous, but I guess their own family already know who they are. Sadly, it's not that hard. I spoke with them the last time I spoke with one of them. He told me, "Man, everyone knows it's me, even though we try to play it out differently. Sadly, sometimes you will need to change too much of the story for people not to be able to pinpoint that it is you indeed who is telling the story." One of the family members says that yes, she met Chris, and the other family member says, "No, not as far as I know, but I wouldn't put it past her because she was always backstage partying with musicians." So, there's also a mystery girlfriend of Chris Cornell that I know I have spoken with, not directly, but through a common friend. She doesn't want to come forward. And so this is a rumor because obviously I cannot put it as a fact without talking to her directly. There's also another rumor that Chris had a son outside of wedlock, and that son allegedly is alive, and it's in danger because of Vicky, and Vicky knows about him. So these are things that I've heard, and I put out there because perhaps people could dig further or have heard something, and they want to come and talk. This is the thing. I don't have the reach I used to have before, so I need to take all these opportunities to let people know, hey, if you have something to say, if you know anything, I'll speak with anyone. I'll speak with the neighbor next door, with the man that sells me the meat in the supermarket. If you know anything, just talk, and we'll handle it your way. But as you can see, there's many witnesses I have for this documentary, and they would be vital to proving everything almost to 100%. But they don't want to become public, and I will respect that until the day I die. Basically, not my wife knows who these people are.
Right. We'll at least do the best that we can to get the truth out there. I would be interesting to see if some of the channels I've seen, like a lot of channels, like on YouTube, and I don't trust her. I wouldn't trust any of them necessarily. But they covered the Diddy stuff. Some of them have been covering Will Smith being gay. Some of this stuff that is kind of interesting, and they have pretty big reach. Now they're a little bit TMZ kind of in their style, so it's just kind of like. They put it out there in a way where it's like people just like it almost like it's the Enquirer on fucking video. However,
jokey and no mention of ritual, satanic anything.
yep, right. If you could get it to them somehow and at least have them run it and link to you, maybe that would be interesting. Just a thought that
Well,
I had real quick because I started doing a lot more research on Diddy at one point, and like once you put in Diddy in YouTube, it just sends you all kinds of shit, and you're just like garbage, fucking garbage, fucking garbage. And then you find someone, you watch some of this garbage, and you see how they do it, and it's like fuck, they are telling some truths. It's like
yes.
fucking Kanye though. It's like you don't trust that fucking site because of the way they do it, and they don't get into the reasons why they do it. They don't get into the ritualistic aspect of it, the occult aspect of it, the fucking religion that these people fucking believe in, the worship of Ishtar and Baal and Moloch and the sacrifice of children and the desire for everlasting life, as Dean puts it. If they don't get into that stuff, so that's probably why they do so well on YouTube. But it would be interesting to try to get this to another level. Either way, you guys are getting in this documentary, especially, a lot of proof that is 7 years, and now this time has passed where a lot of people aren't even talking about this anymore. So
Yep.
it's more likely that we can at least get this out there to some extent. And I just think the work that you've done is amazing, man. And I
Thank
hope
you.
that what we can do is I hope you'll get to this last episode faster than you got to this last one. To this
I
one.
promise. I promise.
But I know you wanna. There's some things you want to do for this one that is gonna like could be a lot of work. But if you can't get to that one, so let's not commit to like what we're gonna do in the next episode. I'd like to have you on sooner though, so
Yes.
we could do if you're ready to like rock and roll, finish this next episode and come on. Let's fucking do it. And if we have some more ideas that we want to do with this one's just close to me because it's what I grew up on. I love these guys. No, I'm trying not trying to idolize them now. It's just part of my journey before I woke up, wakened, whatever you want to say, to what was really going on. I'm not trying to idolize them. However, you see the players. It's all connected. The Epstein, the Diddys, the Wexners, all these scumbags. I want to have you on for either that next, or you can come on and we'll do this this immigration thing. Whatever you do, I want you to come on and do that. And then let's. I still want to do the Isaac Cappy thing, man. I really want to.
Okay. Yeah. We can go through some of the Isaac Cappy stuff that I had to unpublish because Gabe Hoffman sent his big bad lawyers everywhere. And I also have tons of info on Gabe Hoffman, but I don't know if you want to have that midget on top of you, man, because, I'll give you a riddle. What's 5'2", lived 5 blocks away from Jeffrey Epstein, and murdered Isaac Cappy?
Yeah, do we want to say it?
You don't need to. I said it.
Yo. Oh man, yeah, and he obviously has sway and power because, like I said, he was one of the asshats, like DC Drano and Libs of TikTok that were holding the Epstein files from Pam Bondi when that whole shit show went down. So obviously he's still very much a player in some fucking ring of bullshit.
Yes.
And he shut down a lot of your information on that, and it pisses me off. And that thing still I had on Phoenix Enigma. We've talked about that. I don't want to get into that aspect of things just yet, but I want to get into this. I want to know the fucking truth. I loved Isaac Cappy, and I don't think there's anything that's going to change my mind about that. I think that he got surrounded by these psychopaths that he didn't realize who they really were. We'll get into. I mean, if you want to talk a little bit about it, just to give a a teaser.
Yeah,
because you talked to Isaac up until his death.
Yes, we first got in touch when I was with the ITNJ because I was also not only doing social media, I was trying to connect with whistleblowers and send them emails to see if they wanted to come and collaborate with the organization or if they had a testimony. And of course, we know what happened with Fiona Barnett, which is what caused me to show my resignation and to stick it to Sasha and then expose him. And Fiona Barnett turned out to be the person that Isaac went to visit in Australia. So it's all connected. Isaac was a great guy. The thing with Isaac, and I don't want to to be disrespectful, because to be honest, there's things that he said to me in confidence that he never said in public. But he was a tortured guy. There were problems there that I don't want to say specifics, but you can gather more or less that he was troubled by things that he not only that he saw in Hollywood, but that probably happened to him at a younger age. And that's the specifics that he never made them public per se. So whatever motive he has, and I think I understand why he didn't. I'll probably speak with you in private about it, but I just don't want to be disrespectful with that. But he had tons of testimonies from child actors that he was in contact with, because that was his thing. He was almost every day chatting with people that work in the music industry, people that work in Hollywood directly, people that were doing this kind of work for the right reasons, and a lot of them for the bad reasons, because a lot of infiltrators were also trying to get into his circle for obvious
Right.
reasons. They needed to take him out. He was making tons of waves, but he just wasn't distrustful enough. He didn't die because he was a bad person. Yes, he made a mistake. He was a flawed guy. We all are, and nobody here is perfect. It could have been me who got killed that year instead of him. Uh, the thing is that living in the States is kind of more dangerous for this kind of ordeal, even than living in Portugal or even Costa Rica. In the States, you're there in the nest of the whole thing, where the main media operation and distractions are executed from, because the whole world is always looking at the United States, whether people like to admit it or not. Everyone tunes in, and they know what's happening over there, because that's what more or less manages what happens across the world. Um, so yeah, the whole QAnon thing was very damaging for him. I think that a lot of bad people got close to him because of that.
Yeah.
And there's also the people that he lived with, the neighbor and the landlord lady. They were involved. There's pictures of the neighbor, of that girl, partying at Comet Ping Pong Pizza in Washington. So, what else do you need to know? We have a woman that went to Comet Ping Pong, the whole Pizzagate thing, probably directly involved with it. And the landlord lady, a member of this Jack Parsons thing in California, uh, dating Kevin Costner for a while, because she had pictures of her and Kevin Costner hugging and kissing and all that. So, these people were clearly connected. Then you have Big and Mikey, which was a very problematic guy, apparently a survivor of satanic ritual abuse too, but he was involved to some degree in what happened to Isaac at the end. There was a large network of people that were involved in isolating him, destroying his reputation, putting him in bad positions with women and drugs, and bad positions with people overall, even with blood diamonds and criminals from Australia and all over the place. So
Yep.
that's
See, we got a little bit of that with the previous guests that I had on that I mentioned.
yeah, yeah. It's
So
crazy. It's very complicated case, man.
yeah, man. So let's not set up what we're gonna do next. But everybody, I'm gonna make Alessandro in some way. I'm gonna use my mind powers to bring him back to D-Mind to Boomasan a lot quicker than we had from this last one. I just love you, bro, and I want
No,
to bring you
exactly.
back. So we're gonna when you finish the last episode, Too Louder Than Love, I want you to come on. at some point afterwards, because whoever's a paying member should get to have the time to watch that and know what you're going to expose in that as far as a smoking gun and your proof and your receipts. It's going to be
For
massive, everyone. I want you guys to know that. And like I said, I binge watched the whole thing, and I think it's one of those that you will binge watch almost. You know, if it takes you 2 days, then you'll do it, kind of a thing. So I want that. I want to go over the, how do you say it? The Calurgy plan?
Calurgy plan.
Calurgy. You say it.
Calurgy.
Yes. That
Yeah.
I do want to get into that more. So we'll have an episode where once you do that work, we'll do that. But then, like I said from the first episode, and since I met you, since I knew that you were in contact with Isaac Happy, because I want to keep that one out there and I want to keep talking about that one. I want to bring you on. So in whatever order this happens, these are what I look forward to. If you have something else that you want to talk about at any time, though, bro, you're welcome onto the program. We don't have to do like a longer one. We can do shorter ones and stuff too if you want to get something out. But
sure.
everybody, please check out Alessandro's links. They'll all be provided. And this Louder Than Love series is a massive one. I think he has done the best work that I've seen. I learned so many things in this, and I followed those guys pretty closely when I was, not awake, but I was following them as a fan. And you've done amazing work, brother. And I'm looking forward to getting into some of the other stuff that you've done and then talking about some of these other topics. I'll give you the floor for a final statement, and we'll close out, brother.
No, it's been a pleasure. It's always tons of fun, man. You are one of the few people that I've been trying to work with because right off the bat, you seem like a genuine guy, and you do things your way, and I respect that. And you allow others to do things their way, so that's also, it makes it for a fun conversation. It's not really, I don't feel the stage fright and the camera bullshit. Podcast for some reason I don't. I feel like I'm just hanging with some dude in his living room and just shooting the shit and having fun. And I appreciate it, man, because this work does get a bit lonely. It gets lonely. It gets intense. I also don't want to burden my wife with all this horrible shit that I have to watch every day. So I just don't talk about it. But it's I don't do podcasts much, but I guess I just want to say I appreciate it. And it's been tons of fun, and hopefully we can do it more often. I will be up for that, and let's expose these motherfuckers.
Exactly. We're taking down monsters. I don't know if you saw the intro, but you have to go back. I threw together something with a wolf and a samurai, and it was kind of fun.
Yes.
So check that out. But we're taking down monsters, doing the best that we can because the reach, they limit us. But with all your guys' help, we appreciate you being here. Share this out wherever you can. Alessandro, you can come on whenever you want. So I don't want to hold you to anything because I know you're a busy guy, but I really was stoked to have you on this second time. I look forward to all the shows we're going to do together, other work that we're going to do together, and thanks for bringing the clips that you did and sharing what you did. You guys got to go check this out. Like I said, totaldisclosure.net, and all of Alessandro's links will be connected to these videos. I'm going to post them all over the place. We got it on Rumble, Substack, and YouTube right now. I'm going to post it up to Odyssey. Alessandro will be able to download it from there and post it wherever he wants and have his copy. And just God bless you all. And as always, thank you for being here, and we'll catch you on the next one. Peace.
Peace. God bless you all as well. Bye.